Good morning. It's Catherine Gibb for the Board of Assessment Appeals. This is the hearings scheduled for March 10th. We'll be starting at 9 o'clock. Thank you. And this is in hearing room 2. Do you have a table? Seat at this table, please. Thank you. So,
we're extra far.
Sorry?
I said we're extra social distancing.
We are extra social, and it's
May as well, right?
Yeah.
Okay, sign this here?
Well, once I swear you in. So I want to let you know that you are being recorded.
Yeah, that's fine.
And I have a few things to say to mark the recording. So.
Yeah.
First off, I'm Catherine. I'm one of 9 members of the Board of Assessment Appeals. My role today is to hear you, make sure I have enough to present. Then we'll present to no less than a majority of the board, 5 of us. We deliberate and vote.
Okay.
So my role today is not to make a decision, but to collect the right data so that we can present. Okay? Yeah. For the record, please correct me if any of this is inaccurate. Your appeal number is number 284. The property you were appealing is 41 11 o'clock Road. You are Scott Polaczyk, as the owner of the property.
Yeah.
Now, the 2 numbers that here you have, you've used the assessed values on the cover sheet, and we specifically talk about the appraised value.
Yeah, so I'll add 1.3%. I have that here too. So you want that value?
No. So for the town, for the record, your town has the property appraised at $1,759,500.
Yeah.
And you are seeking a fair market value of $1,157,671, which translated into assessed value of $810,300.
Yeah, you don't take the 810 times 1.30?
Yes. And that comes to
$1,053,481, I think.
Okay, I took she come out the same. Well, it's 1.7. So let's get that part right. So 1,157,671 times. I think it works out to $1,157,000.
Well, okay, that's fine. You know what I did? Maybe it doesn't work. You take the 810,370 times 1.3. It doesn't work, right?
You divide by 0.7. It is a mathematical thing. If you divide by 0.7, and then it comes out because the assessed is generally, well, it is a formula that it's 70% of the fair market value.
Correct.
So.
I agree with that.
You agree with that. Terrific. I appreciate that. So great. Now I can swear you in.
Okay.
Do you solemnly swear that the information you shall give concerning the assessment appeal now in question shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. And if you could sign the sheet of paper, you just sign it. I have to sign on the bottom that you were duly sworn in. Okay, thanks for your patience. Great. Okay. Now, it's time for, and you can sit, you don't have to stand. It's not that formal. So, to hear your appeal, we tend to we focus on what your property would sell at 10/1/20.
Correct.
Okay, so the best way to do that is really to correct your field cards, as I see you have some issues here, and then to discuss comps that sold in that time.
Correct.
Okay. So tell me the comps that you have listed. I don't have any backup for them, but let's.
I have backup for you.
Oh, terrific. Could I have that?
Yes.
So we're going to discuss 110 Burwood Common, is that correct? And 105 11 o'clock Road?
Correct.
Okay. I can get that.
What's it to?
Oh, great. Okay, so this is Berwood?
This Berwood, and here's, 105.
Okay. All right.
And we may as well do 110 too, that's it.
110 Berwood Common and 110...
No, 110, 11 o'clock.
11 o'clock, okay, great. Okay. Okay, so the three comps, 105, 11 o'clock, 110, 11 o'clock, and 110 Berwood Common.
Correct.
Okay. Uh, 110, 11 o'clock sold in 2017. That's a bit out of the sale valuation time.
I'm just using this as comps, meaning the value you have them appraised for and the assessed value too. Since they're neighbors, you look at, let's look at 105.
Okay.
And it looks like you had some, remodeling additions after, after the house line is original. And you have them as appraised value of 910, which is basically a very usable lot. I wanted to also point out that if you look at my property lines, I think I gave you that sheet.
Yes.
If I wanted to put on a pool, a tennis court, an addition, additional garages, it's a very, very tough property.
You're on the corner, and there's a lot of setbacks because of the irregular shape.
Yeah, you see the irregular shape? Did I give you that
I
sheet?
don't have that, but if you have that.
You both black and white, and the color. And the one in yellow is my
Okay.
property line.
This
See,
is
it's
same, so
same.
I'll just take the one copy then, in
Okay.
color, if you don't mind.
Yep.
Okay. All right, so you're the yellow?
Yellow.
So the pool belongs to the property on North Street?
Exactly.
Okay. And you can't put a pool close to that pool?
Exactly, yeah, the setbacks don't work properly, so.
Okay.
And then I also have this generator issue. You have a value of $15,000. Here's the invoice of $4,600 from Muzo Electric.
Thank you. $15,000 and this is the 4,600. Okay. All right. And what we usually do, what about these other sales? We do try to find sales. 105 was sold outside of the year, and these are all relatively old sales. So were you looking at just the town assessment on these?
Yeah, I'm just comparing them as assessed value. I mean, let's say you're saying this house is worth let's use one example, 4011 o'clock. Appraised value is $1,014,000.
Which one are we looking at? So
Number 40.
You're number 40. Oh, yeah.
I'm 41. I'm 41.
Right.
I'm sorry.
Right. So we're looking at your.
Yeah, I use these as comps. I mean, they're in the neighborhood. I mean,
But you use the comps. I just want to clarify. You're using the comps as to what the town appraised
correct.
them at, not what the sales are happening. There are no current sales you presented. Correct?
No, but I guess I may have one in here. Why don't we use this one too? I didn't know I needed that, but let me see if I have.
We're trying to get to fair market value at October 1st, 2020.
Correct.
For every property in town. Do you know of any properties that sold in your, on your street or right around the corner or in the area?
No, but I could look into it. I just figured use, similar houses, the one on Burwood Common, whatever, they were bought about the same time. There's a bigger house.
10 years ago, so we try to, the focus is on comparable sales, so that we know the fair market value at 10/20 in October of 2020. That's what I was just.
All right, let's back up for a minute. Let's say this house is, you're saying this is worth $5 million, this one's worth $1 million, and they're within the same neighborhood. It doesn't, I don't know how to.
I was just wondering if you knew of any sales in your neighborhood that we could.
There's one that I know of, and I'm seeing if I printed it out. Hold on a second, please. No, but I could go on GIS mapping and pull them up and email them to you, or is that going to be too late?
If you could, no, it will not be too late, this is what this is for, so that we get it. I would appreciate if you get it in the next day or two.
Oh, yeah, no.
By the end of the week.
Definitely, I apologize.
The best thing you can do is to pull up 2 or 3, we don't need a lot, 2 or 3 that say, this is how they comp. You know how when you get a bank appraisal that lists out, 3 or 4 properties. If you could just give us 2 or 3 really good comps that are, in your neighborhood, and look at your house and then say, if you say this is it sold, it has to have sold really the closer it is to October 2020, the best, but we can go back a year. So basically we're looking for 2020 sales.
Yeah.
If there's something that just closed that was under, of course we would take that into consideration because we're trying, I'd rather have something in there from January of 2021 than January of 2019. You know what I mean? I'd rather go a little forward and that'll really attach to the value of the house at October of 2020.
I gotcha.
And you can say, look, this is a newer home, this is fully renovated, mine is now 10, 12 years old. Take a look at the depreciation factor. They have a pool. I can't put a pool. Yeah. And then we can say, well, if this sold for, and I'm just tossing out these numbers because you were looking for, you're looking for a value closer to $1.2 million in my mind.
Yeah, $1.1 million.
So, if a house sold for $1.2 million that has similar square footage and so forth for you and might have it, then you can adjust from there.
Okay.
That would be most helpful to us. And really, this like 2 or 3. We don't need, 87. Just a few that we could get a good feel for.
I got you. I was just using that. I figure use a neighbor as a comp because that's the value you're putting on it. And this one had multiple additions and renovations.
And your home is rather unique. It's not the 1965 colonial. So, that's a...
Yeah, well, whatever. It is what it is, but the neighborhood doesn't support it. I don't know how you guys pass these drug houses within a mile radius of the house. There's some other things, too.
And I do have that letter. As to why. So,
most people want to be...
And that's why it puts you back on a level footing with the houses that are sold.
I got you.
In that, because they have, in theory, factored in these consideration as well.
I know that if you take that house, you put it on Fairfield Beach, it's worth double. You take it to Easton, it's worth 20% probably less because of the town, but you're also, you're on the farthest north point of the town. You're in the boondocks up there. A lot of people... Across
the street, you're in Easton.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, I would really just in our email, if you could do it, it's the fastest way to get there. So our email is BAA, Board of Assessment Appeals,
BAA,
at fairfieldct.org. And if you could put in the subject line,
the address and the number, right?
Appeal 284 is great. And if you could put Catherine, because then it'll come direct, I'll be on the lookout for those.
So appeal
284.
number 284, attention Catherine.
If you put that in the subject line, that's why when I see it come in, because we have, again, 9 hearing officers, so.
All right, thank you for your time, Catherine.
No,
but
thank
please
you.
take into consideration, the property lines, and I'll pull up a couple comps, 2 to 3 of them.
Well, that would be terrific, and especially if they have a pool and you say right there, I can't have a pool. Or if it's, has been renovated and it's sold. And again, the 2020 sales are like the best ones to go for.
Okay. Anytime in 2020, right?
The closer they are, right, but you can't put every parameter, there's not a clock out there, but, if there's a new build and you say, well, that was new, or that was fully renovated, and mine is, 10 or 15 years old.
You give you the ammunition you need.
Yes,
Perfect.
to come up with, and I know your prop, like, I'm coming up with around 1 million too, my memory. 1157671 doesn't roll off my tongue. It's not, and then if we could substantiate that, that's the easiest way for us to deliberate and, and get a fair vote. That's what we're aiming for. That's
Perfect.
okay. And I will ask the assessor about the generator, and we'll get that.
Yeah, that's going to be correct.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
And I'll expect those papers, and then we can get it on the deliberation schedule for March. And you will hear from us the decision. 5 of us will vote, at least 5 will vote, and then you'll hear the decision 7 days after the vote.
All right, thank you for your time, Catherine.
Thank you.
And that email is baa@fairfieldct.org.
It is.
Perfect.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank
you gotta
you.
flip your sign.
Yes, I always have John up here. I don't know, and I don't even know when John was in here last.
Your name's behind you, so I can see through.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great day.
And do you want me to hand these to them?
No, I
You have them, you're
okay.
okay?
I'm on here.
Okay, and you actually have a phone that was rescheduled late last night to 9:30.
Oh,
So this
is that another conflict?
it's not a conflict, it's just, it fills in your gap. And it fills in your gap.
Oh, they were supposed to come the other
And
way.
it's a phone, yeah.
Understood.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, thanks. Thank you.
9:30?
9:30.
Okay.
Yeah.
Terrific. Thank you. Hello.
Good morning.
How are you? Good morning. It's an interesting hour. Today's the hour?
Yeah, I'd like to give you the clue.
Oh, terrific. Okay. Flip over. And a lot of papers in here. So, want to let you know, my name is Catherine. I'm one of 9 members of the Board of Assessment Appeals, and the process for today is for me to understand your property so I can present it and get the information so I can present to a majority of the board. So I'll be presenting to at least 5 of us will take a vote.
All right.
So that's my role today
Okay,
for
fantastic.
that. Okay, so I like to set those expectations. And you are being recorded, we're all being
Yes.
recorded. The start time for this hearing is 9:18.
All right.
And that is for the record, and if you could, this is for the record, your appeal number 267 for the property at 2979 Burr Street. The owner is Sadesi Hour
Yes,
and Stefan.
yes,
And the town has and you are the owner.
yes.
Let's see, do I have anything in there? Oh, it's okay. Okay. And the town has you appraised at $843,400. And you are asking for a revaluation amount of $783,275.
Correct.
Is that correct?
That's correct.
Terrific. If you would raise your right hand, I'd like to swear you in. Do you solemnly swear that the information you shall give concerning the assessment appeal now in question shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Thank you. And if you would sign there that you've been properly entered in. Thank you. Okay. And now we turn it over to you. You're a contemporary, okay, I'm with you. Yeah, thank you. Contemporary, is ready?
All right.
Okay.
So, just in front of our house, across the street, there's house on that sheet that I gave you. House number 3022. It's almost 600 square foot, a perfect land.
I'm sorry, now this is a piece that, you gave me an extra piece
Yes.
of paper, but it's still in your package, right? This is the same list?
No,
Oh,
that's
totally
the
different.
original,
Okay.
that's why I brought it.
Okay, so I'm looking at this new one, and
Right.
yes, what is this? Okay,
Okay, so
you
number
have
8.
square footage,
Yeah, number 8.
Yes.
Okay, so that one has almost 6,000 square foot. It's a perfect land, no wetlands, nice rectangle. It has a barn, a huge barn, 5-car garage, and it was sold for $1,080,000. That one is a colonial. Ours is a contemporary. Our
Okay,
house,
and I'm sorry, the sale price, is that on here? No, I don't see that.
no, but,
Okay, so you're telling me, do you know the date of that sale?
no, just a few months ago.
Okay, so 3022,
Yeah,
and it's sold, because that is the best thing that we can do, to get to the value of October 2020, a
Yes.
recent sale in your neighborhood, so.
right.
All right, so I'm gonna put down $1,008,000, okay, and you're telling me, so it's the land, the barn, the 6,000 square, 5,500, 5,600 square feet?
Yes.
Okay.
And they have no wetlands whatsoever. It's a colonial.
Okay, colonial.
Correct.
Okay,
Ours, if you look at the map of our property, more than half of our land is wetland.
is that the part that's in the front
Yes,
that I see? Okay.
yes. It's all wetland. We cannot use it at all. And I don't know if you're aware of this, but we have no driveway. We have no access.
So do you have
have
a
to go
shared driveway on your, like, does your neighbor let you use
Yes,
his driveway?
yes, they do.
Okay.
So we have to, so even when people are coming to visit us, they don't even know, because our house is tucked away. You can't even see the house. They come, they go to the neighbors.
And is that a true legal easement, or is that
Yeah.
just the neighbor saying you can?
It is a legal easement.
Okay,
It is a legal easement.
but I do understand what you're saying, I'm just saying, okay.
And, when it snows and, they clear their section, there's a section that belongs to them, they're the owner. It's never plowed. We have to come out and take care of that, which is fine, no big deal. But it's just, an issue. But that's with someone else, not with this. And, this is something that cannot be changed at all. For as long as we own this property, this cannot change due to the wetlands. And we understand that, but it's an inconvenience. And we also have well water, which most of the property, including that one, they have well water, city water.
3022, you're the
Yeah.
only one with well?
Yeah, the 3080 has city water, 3129 has city water, and as you can see with that last chart I gave you, with just 10 of the properties that I just randomly picked in my neighborhood, ours is higher in taxes by 4.2%. Meanwhile, every single house from 3129 all the way to 3045 has decreased. If you look at 3129, it was decreased by 4.4%. Ours was increased by 1.8%. 276, 4.2% decreased, and so forth. 477, 2%. 2980, 7.2%, and so forth. We're not even asking for all of, we're just asking for a percentage. And I think that's fair.
And now going back to your package, I understand the comparison to the assessment is one piece, but we're really trying to get to the market value at October 2020. So I think that's in your package, these comparative sales that you're discussing. So again, you're a contemporary, which is, it's unique. There aren't as many contemporaries around. But could you pick up, some of these sales they're older. So the only one that was in 2020 is on Silver Spring Road for $850. You see where I'm?
Yeah.
Okay.
Number 6.
Yes, number 6. So are you aware of other properties because the $850 and the town's valuing you at $843. So it would be good to compare to that one as well as to why you should be less. It's really the market value of the sales.
Yes.
That's the state statute. I understand where you're going with the rest of the assessments, but to validate, that's what the Board of Assessment Appeals is trying to get at the fair market value, as close as possible to October 2020.
Right. These were the sales that were available, the prices that were available online.
It's just they were so, 2017, 2016, they're all well outside the reval period.
Yeah.
Other than Silver Spring, which is that's on the other side of, that's off Sturgis.
Mm-hmm.
So I was wondering if you were aware of,
the only other one
in your neighborhood
is the one across the street from me, which is, that is the 3022.
And
that's the recent sale that is listed.
Okay, and on this, I'm sorry, I think I wrote it. So 3022 it was 1080. All right, well I wrote down the wrong amount. And that was in 2018. Are there any other sales that, like in 2020, that you're aware of?
Not in my area that I know of, no.
Okay. Because that's to come up with because even at 1080, that's outside of you're trying to substantiate from 843 to 783.
Yes.
So let me ask you, how did you come up with the 783?
Well, I'm looking at what the price per square footage, because ours is listed at $208 per square foot. And I'm seeing here homes that are as low as $129 per square foot. And I think that having that discrepancy with that price it's not
So you use a square footage analysis.
Yeah.
And
As well as the land.
And I definitely understand the land.
And
the
our,
well.
right, and the fact that we have well water, and if I wanted to have, and I've inquired about this, it's over 10,000 if I wanted to have city water.
To hook up.
That. And the house has 2 bathrooms, 2 full baths, and 1 half bath. One of those full baths is only a stand-up shower. So that's not ideal.
Again, I go back, would you be able to perhaps find, a couple of comps, 2, 3 competitive
I can look,
sales?
Certainly.
And, because that would be most helpful.
Okay.
For me to present.
All right.
That's what I need. And again, I'm trying to present. It's all about getting to that fair market value,
Okay.
October 2020. So I'm going to give you an email.
Okay.
BAA, Board of Assessment Appeals, BAA at fairfieldct.org.
Okay.
And if you, in the subject line, please put your appeal number of 267. And if you could put, attention, Catherine, Catherine.
Okay.
Then I know to look for those more quickly.
Okay, fantastic.
And I need 2 to 3 properties.
2 to 3 properties, okay.
And, that's sold in 2020. You can go a little outside of that parameter if, you need to find a better comp to get you to a market value of the high 7s.
Okay.
And so it can be, well, this one sold for, $850,000, but they don't have the wetlands.
Right.
They don't have, my house is older. That's fine to say. It's like, you're mimicking a professional appraisal.
Okay.
But you know your neighborhood and you know what's there, and we do too. We know locations and all, but you're telling us the specifics of your property. That would be very helpful.
Okay, fantastic. I'll do that.
Okay?
I'll send it to you today.
Okay, as long as you send it to me by tomorrow or Friday. Don't wait too long, because I need to get the deliberations in. It's better, but don't put it on yourself, but it's got to be here by the next hour.
Okay.
But the next day or 2 would be really good. That would be terrific.
I'll get on it as soon as I leave.
And I hope you appreciate that, because
Yes,
I
of course.
want to...
I understand what you're saying, yes.
Yes, okay. Well, I'm glad for that. So I've already talked about how I'll be, petition. I'll hold off on the deliberations until I get that information. And I think that's really it. We can conclude. I don't need to tell you the whole process here, because we're not there yet. But I look forward to getting your email. I thank you very much for your time and participating. It's great.
Thank you.
And I guess I will conclude the hearing at 9:31.
Thank you, Catherine.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
It was very nice meeting you.
Stay safe. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Thanks.
it's Peter.
Hello, Mr. Osborne, how are you? My name is Catherine. I'm calling from Fairfield Town Hall for the Board of Assessment Appeals.
Hi, how are you?
Hello. Thanks very much for patiently waiting. I know you were rescheduled, and I did look at your file the night I was supposed to hear you, so getting my different hat on here. But, okay. By the way, I'm Catherine. I'm one of the 9 members of the Board of Assessment Appeals, and today my role is to understand your case, to be able to present to a majority of the board so that we can deliberate and vote on it. So today that's my role, to collect the information and to be able to make the best case possible for you. Okay?
Okay.
All right.
Fair enough.
And for the record now, you are being taped. We are both being recorded. So for recording purposes and documentation, the hearing will start at 9:35. This is for appeal number 459. The property address is 634 Stratfield Road. The owner is Tracy Osborne, but I do have an affidavit that's Peter Osborne, or are you also the owner? Oh no, I have the affidavit that you will be the appellant. And
Yeah, my wife's the owner.
okay, and the town has a value, and I just want to document, I do have an affidavit properly notarized that you are an appropriate appellant. The town has the property valued at $527,900, and you are seeking it to be revalued to $423,774. Is that all correct?
Yeah, correct.
Terrific. Okay, so Peter, all right. Now that is not, I need to swear you in, so if you could raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear that the information you shall give concerning the assessment appeal now in question shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you. Okay, and that, guess what? There's another form I have to sign for that. Okay. All right. See, okay. Now, put those papers over here, and now I'm actually looking at your document. So, I do know that you went into, well, anyway, let's talk about how did you come up with the new valuation of, for rounding, $423,774?
Okay, so I looked at valuations. I used 2 different formulas to look at valuations. I looked at comparable sales, and I also used an investment income approach. And then the third thing I did was I adjusted for a functional obsolescence that had previously been noted on the property card, but then was removed with the current revaluation.
Okay, I know that's always, that is a good thing to bring up, because we can roll that right back. Okay.
Okay. So for comparable property sales, it's, I went out to the Vision appraisal site, and, I looked for multifamily sales, in the same time period. And, I found 3 appropriate properties, and the actual properties were a little bit smaller, square footage wise than my property, so I adjusted the values upward to reflect that.
Okay, so, and I see that on the back page here, you have the 3 comps. We're talking 20 Pierce Street, 244 Melville, and 14 Beacon View?
Correct.
Okay, great. So I do see your square footage is a little higher. Other than, Beacon View has 3 baths? No, 5 bedrooms. You have the 4 baths. So are you, is this a single, this is a multifamily, so is that a 2 and 2? 2 bedrooms in each side and 1 bath?
Correct.
Okay, great. All righty. And
Beacon View had 5 bedrooms and 3 baths, and I didn't even adjust for that. I just adjusted for square footage. So in a way, I kind of handicapped myself that way. But I probably should have adjusted down for the number of bedrooms, but I didn't.
And these are all in similar shape to yours, would you say? I mean, they're all, and it's, a 2-bedroom rents for what it rents for, so forth? Like they are pretty comparable in that way?
Exactly.
Okay.
I mean, there were other ones, and these are all, I tried to keep the comparables as close to my property location as possible. And, I know the multifamily market in Fairfield is pretty fragmented. There were comps coming up on like Riverside Drive, which is,
Understood. Yeah.
right by the beach. So really not a fair comparison, because the values are so much higher down there because of the proximity to the beach and the marina. So I try to stay as close as possible, to where our property is.
And really, and two of these sold, they all sold in 2020. I'm saying a lot of this also for the record too, but also so that I'm understanding. But you have 3 multifamilies, similar style and age to yours, and 2 sold for $370,000 and 1 sold for $400,000, a little earlier in the evaluation year. And however, you're asking for $423,774. Okay.
Correct.
So, understood.
So in looking at the comparables, I came in with a mean value of $441,412, and that's my adjusted sales price. The actual mean of the sales price was $380,000, but I moved it up to like $441 to account for the disparity in the square footage.
Well, and that's also where your income investment, the investment income comes in at that, right?
Right.
441, right.
Yes. So I did the investment income approach, and I used the Federal Reserve, what they had published as a cap rate for 2020.
I do see that. Very admirable. I did not expect my MBA to come in handy on that answer there with all the different rates. You're the only one, but I mean that's a reasonable rate. And then you added on the Treasury yield, so you came up with about a cap rate of just a 5 1/3, 5.32. I see that.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. My wife said, we should be making more than 5% on that, or 5 1/3%. And I said, sure, but the higher that cap rate goes, the lower the property goes. So.
Correct.
So I think using a published number, I think is reasonable. And so just doing that, I use the net operating income for the property, so that's all expenses except for debt service.
Correct.
Which is customary for rental real estate.
And
so I
looks,
took
right. And it looks like these are renting for $1,500-$1,600 a month.
Correct. Yeah. One unit is $1,500. The other is $1,550.
Okay. Which is what I hear is the market value for the 2-bedroom, 1-bath. Okay. So I understand where you're going. Where I could use a little clarification for my own purposes, how does that functional obsolescence work? And I mean, you said it had been granted in the past. So do you know, because I will go to the assessor and definitely ask why that was not included in the calculation, but...
Yep, and actually, so I was not aware of functional obsolescence. That's because I had a discussion with Paula in the assessor's office, and she actually pointed it down to me. So my understanding of functional obsolescence is kind of a disparity of what you would have in an old property versus something that's more modern. So
okay.
like in our property, for example, there are 2 units. Each unit has 2 bedrooms, and 3 of the bedrooms do not have closets. There's one bedroom on the first floor has a closet because it's tucked underneath the staircase that goes up to the second floor.
I can picture
So
that.
the other bedrooms in the home have to use, kind of like the foyer closets for their clothes.
So when I look at your field card, the second page of it that has the picture on it, there's a line. It's almost like directly in the middle of that cost versus market evaluation. And functional obsolescence is listed as 0, to your point. It was not included this time. What was it before?
So on the prior card...
That's what I'm asking. Yep.
It was... sorry, I'm not used to looking at these cards.
No, and you think we are, but then all of a sudden something changes. I've looked at so many appraisals this week, I still have a hard time finding the close date. Oh, you know what? You might have included it. Hold on here. Oh, 2012. I think it was at 10. Okay, because it looks like you included two. I thought it was the same card, but I think you already included the prior card. Thank you for that.
Yes, that's right. I put both cards in.
That helps. Okay.
So, let me just pull my Word document again. So.
Yeah, no, I'm looking at a copy of it here. So, and everything has been scanned in. So the functional obsolescence is listed there at 10. Okay, went from 10 to 0. Okay.
So I just recalculated it because there was a 10% allowance for functional obsolescence, and I was informed that the functional obsolescence only applies to the dwelling, not to the land. So I just recalculated it, and
so you took 10%. Okay, you put 10% of, because you came up the track, so it's the land at about 170, the dwelling. Okay, of your assessed value. So I see you took the 177,520, which is the assessed value of land, and you took the 10% for the 17. Okay, wanted to understand where that came from.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
So what I did was I looked at all the comparable sales, and I looked at the income approach, and I took the mean of those two. And it was interesting because the delta between the value I came up with comparable sales and income approach was like $100 off, which I just thought was interesting.
Well, that's what drives the market value. So that's why it's important to have the market value. You see how all these things it's nice when they agree, but you can also see, as long as we're going for that market value, we are incorporating many of the other factors. Okay, so you took that and you came up with a 440-ish number, and then you took the functional obsolescence of the other 17, and you came down to the 423.
That's exactly how I got there.
Okay. So, Mr. Osborne, if you feel comfortable that I now understand and can make a presentation on your behalf, do you have any other questions for me, or is there any other information you think I need?
I do have a question. I was reading, before going through this process, I was kind of reading. There was a document on the website for kind of helpful hints, if you will. I can't remember exactly what it's called.
I think it's helpful hints. Yeah.
Okay, is that okay? And I guess one thing they had mentioned in the document was that the percentage increase is not a reason for appealing, and I was kind of confused by that because our property went up almost 38% in value, 37.9, as compared to the last valuation, and nothing has changed with the property. There's been no work done on it. I put driveway sealer on the drive. That's it.
It comes down to that market value, and the assessment is actually, it's the way to divide up the pie. So that you went up comparable to other things, perhaps everything has gone up. And so your piece of the pie, meaning, what the budget will be, should remain the same. It will move off of how other properties have fared in that assessment. So the goal is and that's what the reval has done, to come up with that market value as of October 2020 for all properties.
Got it.
So it's not, you don't just take the new one and apply a mill rate, and haven't set the mill rate, and then the budget comes in, and that's a different factor. I mean, if the budget goes up more, yes, our taxes might go up more, but the assessment is all about how to divide up the tax burden. And yes, in 2020 with COVID, the prices and everything being, that much more in demand, I understand what you're saying, you're a rental and so forth, but then everybody has gone up for that. So that's trying to pick one day to value everybody does kind of upset people, but that's by law. You know, we don't willy-nilly just pick that out of the air either. So there's a lot that they do to it, yes. But, I do appreciate your time, but if you have no other questions for me, this will conclude the hearing at 9:50.
Okay, that's perfect.
Terrific. Thank you very much for your time, Mr. Osborne. Again, I'm going to present, to a board all this information, the majority of the board, and then we'll take a vote, and you'll get a notice of the vote and the decision within 7 days of the vote. If your appeal is denied, you can come back next year, and if you're granted a reduction, you cannot appeal again until the next revaluation in 5 years. If you don't agree with the board's decision, you can take the next step and appeal your decision in court. All those instructions will be in the decision letter. Okay?
Okay, that
Okay,
sounds good. Thank you so much for your time.
Oh, no, thank you. It was, and thank you for all the information, and you presented well and succinctly and to point, so I do appreciate that. Have a great day.
Thank you too, Catherine.
Bye-bye.
Okay.
Trying to stay close to our time.
You guys are working hard.
You have a seat?
Oh, great. We have our distance, don't we?
I'm sorry?
We have our distance.
Yes, we do, and I have my plexiglass and...
Good.
Okay, now you're going to be presenting on 2 properties.
Correct, I'm an
Okay.
appraiser.
Let me take which one do you want to do first? North Street?
Well, it doesn't matter, the 945, maybe it'll help you, was supposed to be 1220 Hillside.
Okay.
I mean, I don't care.
No, that's all. There's a lot of paper, as you know, when you're, you don't want to mix up the file.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, thank you. Let you know, we're all being recorded. So for the record, the assessment appeal will start at 9:53. It is appeal number, I'm Catherine, I'm sorry. Okay,
Catherine, I'm Harriet, so nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. I'm one of 9 members of the Board of Assessment Appeals.
Okay.
My role today is to be able to collect information from you so that I can make a presentation to the majority of the board, and we can deliberate and vote on your appeal. So it's to get the information right and make sure I understand it. So that's the role.
I'll do the best I can to
And me too.
to make it so that you can understand it.
I'm sure
Sometimes appraisal lingo is...
that I'll be up to speed on that one. We'll be in pretty good shape.
Okay.
Okay, so there's that. And we have a little, again, for the record, this is appeal number 141 for 1220 Hillside Road. Owner is Christopher Gibson.
Yes.
And the town has a value on the property of $1,462,500. They are asking for $1,235,000 revaluation. And Harriet Buster is a properly notarized appellant here and will be making the appeal. Is all that information correct?
Yes, it's correct.
Thank you. So if you could raise your.
The recording wouldn't have seen that.
But you made the sound. So I'll swear you in. Do you solemnly swear that the information you shall give concerning the assessment, appeal, matters, questions shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Are we now pronouncing man and wife or wife?
That is the last time. So I'm looking for, and guess what, Harry? Now you get to sign. So
Okay.
there we go. This is the 9th day. This is just a huge one. Yep. Thank you.
So I did this yesterday.
Yeah, you just,
Okay, yeah.
that's the only, and if you just put it back on the corner, we'll get it back in the file. Okay.
Want me to just put it here, is that it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So, guess we're gonna walk through the field cards are okay. We're just gonna find your assessment, your appraisal, my bad. And you have come up. All right.
While you're looking for that, the only thing I want to say, and at least I only have to say it once for both of these, I've been doing this for a while, tax appeals. I've been appraising 40 years and all that. It's not about me. But what's very important to know is that when somebody calls me to ask if I would do tax appeals for them, the very first thing I say is I need to research your home. I need to research the assessment, the appraised value. I need to see your house before, and then I do my research before I can tell you whether I think you are overassessed. So I will not take on a case if I feel that they are being assessed or appraised properly, because it's not fair to them. I would be taking their money, so that's beside the point, but I just won't do that. So when I do take one on, I've done a lot of research prior, and this is the other thing I'll just say for both so that you understand me, and I'm not trying to push a case, I'm trying to explain.
Absolutely.
Okay? I actually, in the appraisal, and if you understand comps and the grid and the adjustments and all that, I actually went the other way, to show that I wasn't trying to bring the value down. For instance, on this one, I made time adjustments. I don't know, you have the comp pages. There are 4 comps in this report. Okay. If you look over at comp 3 and comp 4, okay?
Golden Pond?
Yeah.
Okay.
Comp 3 Golden Pond sold for $1,350,000, but it closed January 31st of 2020, before COVID.
Yes.
So did comp number 4, sold before COVID. I made a 10% adjustment so that I increased the value 10% based on COVID. Now, normally it's somewhere between 5 and 8%. I even went further. So the reason I'm telling you this, and do you understand where I'm coming from?
I definitely understand.
Okay, I'm not trying to deflate the value. I'm trying to give you market value in even, very conservatively. Okay. So,
I appreciate that.
Okay. That's very important because I do not want, I'll tell you something. I did an appraisal in Wilton, tax appeal last year, and I know we'll be quick. I'll just give you a very, very quick story. And the house was like a 10,000 square foot house. And my comps were such that the adjusted values were very, very similar. They were close. They aren't always. And the men who I was speaking in front of actually said, no, it was already on the phone. It was a Zoom. Actually said to me, well, it's very interesting that your adjusted values are so close. Like I had made that happen. I don't do that. I never even thought about that. So I guess what I'm trying to tell you, and I'm happy to answer any questions you have from me regarding these comps or my value, is that I truly take my job and my license very seriously. I'm not an attorney or a doctor. I'm just an appraiser, but I take it very seriously. This is what I'm all about. So if I'm coming in where I did come in with adjusted values, I actually gave it the highest. If you look at comps 1, 2, 3, and 4, the adjusted value, do you know where that is, the left?
Yes.
Okay, you'll see comp 1 adjusted at basically 1230, comp 2, 1235, comp 3, 1147, and comp 4, 1299. I actually came in on
Yeah, a little bit of a curve, but right there.
but yeah, exactly.
Right.
You know, I came in at the higher one of the first 3 comps.
And so, and I'm just.
Of all of them, I
I'm
came
just gonna
in
make
of all
sure.
4.
Yeah, no, I'm just gonna, go through some of the larger adjustments.
Please.
And it helps me for the next one as well.
Yes,
So your first comp on Midlock had, 1,600 square feet, the finished basement, is that what that is? The finished FIB?
yes,
Full-
full bath, yeah.
And is that, in the basement? So
Yeah.
you put all that in?
Yeah,
And,
yeah,
you took $85,000 off. You
Well,
thought
it's
that
by
was
square
fair value.
footage. It's done by square footage
No,
cost of
no,
that.
I'm just
okay.
trying to understand,
Yeah.
that would have been the bigger the biggest adjustment there.
Right, right.
The adjustment that you had for Mine Hill was, the condition, it was a smaller property, but the condition was exceptional, so I'm assuming that was pretty well renovated at that point.
Oh, yeah, and
Mine Hill was,
I was conservative on that adjustment.
so you kind of did the wash.
What I do, so that you know, is I can't get inside the comps, but I study them very carefully. First of all, I go and drive by the outside, take
Well,
pictures.
and with the way the pictures are now,
The
they're
pictures are great,
online, yeah.
so I can see the quality of construction, that
Right.
the, remodeling, and I read all the comments. So, yeah, there's my reason.
And understood, and then, kind of similar on the one, you adjusted for the condition for Golden Pond.
Golden Pond, gorgeous,
Which has-
gorgeous,
Yes.
gorgeous.
Okay, because, that's a significantly large adjustment.
And I welcome you to go and look at these
And
comps yourself. I know you don't have
Oh.
time.
No, but, I've lived in Fairfield for 40 years, so if I don't know the exact house, I can, I'm very familiar with the area.
Right,
and so
it is,
forth.
this house is
And that
outstanding.
leads me to my other question, because I'm not familiar with Aftershock, what is FLS? The fourth sale, where is that?
There's
There's gotta be a map here.
It's 2.85. I know, you know what?
'Cause
I copied everything, but I didn't copy my map pages.
Okay, well, I'm sure.
Wait a minute,
Just because I'm not, and again,
No, I know.
it's the fourth one, the more information you give.
But what I did was, and I think I remember, yeah, okay.
Because it's off Westport Turnpike.
That's right. Okay, so now, good, I'm glad you asked me. So let's go to,
Is that Fairfield?
it's Fairfield. Yeah, it's Fairfield.
It's off, okay, so Catamount comes off, that's the one you have to go off Catamount when
Right,
Westport
so what I
to get
did-
back into.
Yeah, so what I
Okay.
did was, now I remember exactly where it is. You see it's under location.
Right,
The adjustment, first of all, I gave 10% for time. I gave 10% because the location is not as desirable as coming down, into the heart of Greenfield Hill, which obviously,
and
Hillside
where
is.
do I see that adjustment? Just so I become a little
Right here,
more
if
familiar.
you take a look at,
Which
right.
number? Give me Aftershock Falls, you have it listed as
yeah,
Aftershock
comp
Falls,
4.
and you took off almost 64,000. Is that the number I'm looking at, to understand? Neighborhood, there's an adjustment of,
I don't know what you're looking at when you say
63,750.
neighborhood. No, here, can I quickly,
yeah,
let me,
I just want to, I think you're talking about this number,
here.
right here, Aftershock Falls.
Well, no. Yes, I actually took off.
Right,
Okay,
that's
no,
the
let me
deduction,
explain, no, okay. So here, this is the location, because the location's inferior to the market. I adjusted up
Okay,
10%.
all right, and then,
The lot itself does not have the pond, it's an interior lot. I gave it $30,000. Now, because there are falls, there's waterfalls. I think I probably explained it in my addendum, all my comments.
okay.
Or and I should have it here, wait, I'll tell you right now, let me read my addendum.
So because, no, that's,
Okay, here it is. Comparable forest located in northern end of Greenfield Hill, located off of Busy Road, Route 133 Westport Road, and is considered considered less desirable in the Fairfield market. It's adjusted 10% for location accordingly. It is also adjusted 5% for waterfront property being located on the Aspetuck River. A small adjustment is applied for slightly inferior lot, less usable land. So you gotta read the addendum. That explains all my adjustments.
But that's why you're here. So maybe
Yeah. No, I don't mean you.
That's right.
I don't mean you. That's why I'm here. Exactly.
Okay, and then, you got 5% up, 5% down, okay. Terrific.
And I just added that as, you know, it's the least of the good of the.
I just wanted to understand,
Yeah.
you know, when I go in to present and I say, we have a professional appraiser who really discussed the properties, who went in, you know, does anybody have any questions on it? They're coming up with a fair market value of $1,235,000, and that is for the account.
I understand.
No, I want you to feel comfortable, and now I understand when you get there, so I can fairly present to the board when we deliberate. And do you have any other questions, or?
No, I appreciate the hard work you're doing, because it's gotta be, you're doing this all day long. You're listening to all these different people. It's gotta go crazy in your head, right?
Well,
It's sort
the
of.
secretary's done a fabulous job of, we're hearing similar properties we've been assigned. There's 1 or 2 people, 3 people assigned to each neighborhood. So you get, everybody's hearing the same thing. When we deliberate, we try to discuss neighborhoods, so we're pulling up the same comps. And it adds a lot more depth than just everything in a silo. So.
I wish we weren't on,
So I appreciate that, and so you know, I go into deliberations, I do that, and then we make a decision. Within 7 days, the owner will be notified, you know, in the mail. It will go to you, if you contact, I'm sorry, the appellant.
So when do you guys deliberate? The end of March?
We are continuing to deliberate Tuesday, Thursday night, and Saturday to get everything up. So I would hope, depending on, we plan, let's put it this way, we plan to finish by the end of March.
Okay.
So the timing will be that.
Okay.
And at that point, if your appeal is denied, you can come back next year. If you're granted a reduction, you cannot come back until the next reval is 5 years. And if you don't agree with the decision, you can go to court. All those instructions will be in the decision letter. So if you have no other questions, this will conclude this hearing at this time.
Good.
This will end at 10:07. Okay. And then just give me a moment to
I'll give you as many as you need.
move up to the, we do have 650 appeals.
I know.
We try to have everybody
I know you do.
here.
That's why I say I tip my hat to you guys. It's hard.
How many appraisers, how many appraisals did you do? And
This year I've done, I think it's 8, not all in Fairfield, Westport, Wilton.
you done just 8?
Only doing 8.
Wow.
You know what, I turned 70 this year, and I'm tired. And I also turn a lot of people down when I don't feel they're being,
You get to pick who you want to represent.
No, it's not that I pick it. No, if they call me, and if I don't feel I can help them, if I feel that they are being assessed properly, I won't do it. So I turn a lot of people down.
Okay, that's for the next swearing. Okay, because we're going to move on to the next appeal, which will start at 10:08. This is for appeal number 140, which is at 3141 North Street. The town has a value of $1,112,100. The valuation requested is $900,000. The owner is Joseph and Melissa Clouder, but the properly notarized affidavit appellant will be Harriet Busker, the appraiser. Is that all correct?
That is all correct, yes.
Okay, thank you. You could actually just sign that because I've already sworn you in, but you swear again, right? You solemnly swear, and you sign that for this
It's
property?
signed right here.
Perfect,
Okay.
Thank you very much, Harriet. Okay, I've got my hearing notes out here, and you're on North Street. Okay. So, again, it's a professional appraiser that's based for I'm going to turn over to the comp page. All right. So this property is on the, what I'll call the quiet section of North Street,
Yes,
right, over by Brentwood?
yes,
Okay.
yes, very quiet.
Um,
It's almost like 1.5, the street itself is quite narrow.
right, but it's a very different North Street than,
Yeah, it's
I mean,
not the
that's
most
busy,
desirable section of Fairfield, of Greenfield Hill.
it's up in the corner there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, they bought within the, reval, they bought in late 2019 and paid $619,000
Yes, and that
for
was
it?
a foreclosure.
Okay.
So I actually appealed this last year and was denied. And I have not gotten over the fact that I did not recommend to them that they do take it to Hartford because they were so overassessed that it was blatant, and I don't know why it got denied last year. I'm very upset about that. And so they had enough faith in me, they hired me again. And I looked at the comps, prior to October 1st, 2020, did a new appraisal. And again, I believe in my heart they are being completely overassessed
Okay, and you,
based on my comps.
would you be able to tell me what you appealed for last year that was denied?
The amount?
Yeah.
I don't have the appraisal from last year with
Okay.
me. Yeah, I didn't know I was like that was, I think I came in around 8 or so. But I could find that if you want it.
No, it was just, I'd like to,
Yeah, because the values obviously hadn't gone through COVID yet. And we were doing it based on 2015. So the values were down. So I came up, I guess I must have come, I don't remember. I didn't know I needed that.
you did not need that, Harriet. I just,
Okay, I'm wondering if I have that.
anything I can learn.
Yeah.
I figured at some point it might be helpful.
Yeah.
That's all. I like to, so anyway, let's go through your comp. So I am familiar where that is. So you have, for the comp sales, you have Florence Lane, Merwin's Lane, Congress Street, and Reading Road. Okay.
Reading Road is actually the closest, 0.38 miles southeast of the subject.
Okay, because the subject is right off Reading.
Right.
Okay.
Right, and that one, sold for $849.9, absolutely smaller, but there's a $70,000 adjustment for the square footage. It has an extra bathroom. It does have a finished basement. It has 5, I did adjust for bedroom count because in the Fairfield market, very typically, there is a small, I give a very small adjustment for bedroom count, depending upon families that are looking for that 5-bedroom, whether it's for a nanny or they have 4 children or whatever. I only give it $5,000, very minimal. So you'll see that under functional utility. That's what I consider it under there.
I also find on the Reading Road property, and again, I'm just trying to learn,
go ahead, right
the
ahead.
in-law apartment. So you gave the in-law apartment, the accessory apartment down there. So you added $25,000.
Yeah, I said that not everybody wants that.
So you think that's a good or a bad thing?
Bad, that's why I gave it a plus 40. I added
You added it to
I
that price.
added, yeah.
To get up.
When you see a plus,
That means.
I'm bringing the value of the
negative
subject up higher.
because they had it. Okay?
Yeah. So that's why I'm going over backwards, not to show any sort of,
Okay, but even to look at, so we have the 840, and the condition of this home on North Street.
It's good.
You said it was foreclosure.
yeah.
They've had only a year to, I made some assumptions here. Can you confirm? In the
Yeah, let
condition
me
of the
just
property?
read, and I'm going to read over it. I'll read it out loud again under the improvements. That'll help out on the next page after comp 1, 2, and 3. The subject dwelling was built in 1994 in good condition. First floor contains foyer, living room, dining room, kitchen, family room, library, laundry room, half bath, and hallway leading to the 2-story addition that was built in 2001. The addition contains a 2-car garage with a rec room above the garage. See, it's a very disjointed house.
Okay.
And I actually did not even adjust for the fact that it's not your typical floor plan. Because you have your main dwelling, and then you have this very long corridor. And I believe the pictures, you have all the pictures here.
I did say, yes.
Yeah, you have this very long corridor that goes down to the right where you have your two-car garage, and above the two-car garage is a large family room, rec room, playroom, whatever. But it's disjointed. It doesn't flow properly. And I didn't even adjust for that. Okay? But it lacks. It's lacking in functional utility, which
And the desires.
it's less desirable to the typical market.
Right.
Exactly.
Okay.
What else did I say here just so that the second part is, yeah, I wrote that actually, here's the hallway picture. Oh yeah, this is the other problem. When you, in the main part of the house, going upstairs, and these people actually have two twins, they're 2 years old. The main part, when you go upstairs, the master bedroom is over here, and then you've got this narrow hallway of which you can overlook on either end, which I find dangerous, and then you go to these 2 tiny little bedrooms with a bath, which are the kids' rooms. So you only have 3 bedrooms, 2 of which are tiny, on that side of the house. It's just a disjointed, strange house. And that's not appraisal lingo. Yeah, so I have 2 bedrooms for the 2 smaller bathrooms. So the master bath contains steam shower, the tub, the hallway overlooks the living room and the foyer, which I just described to you.
It does say that it has 4 bedrooms though, so is there another one somewhere? The field card says that there's 4.
There are 4 bedrooms.
Okay.
Yeah, there are 4 bedrooms.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is the 4th, where?
I'm trying to-
And that's fine too, I mean, it is still a 4 bedroom.
It's
You're
a
saying the
4-bedroom
master
house.
suite is,
Yeah.
you know, pretty disjointed from the.
And I even write here 4 bedrooms.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep,
Just because when you said 3, I was like, oh.
You're
okay,
right,
I missed
you're right.
something.
In that area there, I can't remember where the 4th bedroom is.
Okay, that's fine. That
You
is.
know what, I think the 4th bedroom, now my memory serves me correctly, because I don't have the floor plan. The 4th bedroom, I have it in last year's file. The 4th bedroom is actually over on the side where the master bedroom is. There's another small 4th bedroom.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, again, I mean, we have the 4 sales, even without all the adjustments, which of course we need, but the sales are 855, 915, 830, and 849. So you can adjust them, but they're still.
And they came in at 900, because again,
That's the higher of the.
I came in as high as I could.
Okay. So.
And I'll be honest with you, if I was doing this for a bank, it wouldn't have come in as high. Neither of these appraisals would have come in as high as I came in here. They would have come in at market value, and it probably would have been a lot less. But I'm going to tell you something. And I wish the recording wasn't on right now. I know you did, but it is what it is. So I'd like to actually record it, which is fine. I've been doing this for a while, and I've never lost a tax appeal, because I will not take one on unless I absolutely feel that it's necessary. Last year, 4 out of the 5 that I did here in Fairfield for the first time were denied. I have my thoughts as to why. The only one that was approved was the one in the Ridge, because there was no way you could deny what happened to the Ridge, where the values, absolutely plummeted. So that one was approved. But the other ones were not. And I realize now why I realize why now. And I can't say it.
Okay.
I can't, unfortunately, because you're going to get together as a group.
We are.
Yeah. Let's just leave it there, okay?
Okay. But this is a new year, it's a revaluing year, so it's a great year to take a look at things. And, I know what I wanted, because I still have, I wrote down the wrong sale price that they bought it for, so I want to correct that, $690 in my notes. Perfect. Harriet, it's a pleasure meeting you. Thank you for your patience and your information and the way you present, succinct and focused on it. If you have no other questions for me or anything else that I need to hear, you're familiar, since I just told you before, what the process will be. I will present, we will vote, you will hear, you have options. Okay, so you're all familiar with that. So Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it. And if you have no other questions, this will conclude the meeting at 10:19.
And I thank you for the hard work you do.
Oh, I appreciate it.
I give you a lot of credit, really, I do, because you're working with
Well,
the
and
public.
we're not doing it for the glory, we're only volunteers.
I know that.
But we're all long-term residents and,
Are you all realtors or not?
I am not.
So you don't
There
have
are,
to
I
be?
believe there are 2 realtors
Okay,
on,
because the one I did the other day, the person I spoke to didn't even know the area that I was doing it, was right in Lake Hills, and that person had to ask me where that location was, and it's sort of a common location. So I was wondering if you guys were real, because a lot of towns that I do, they are realtors.
there are 2 realtors, at least on the board. I don't know what everybody else does.
Okay.
So I guess,
Yeah, yeah.
but Lake Hills has a lot of interesting streets.
Well, this was the Nonopai, Quantipai, yeah, I mean,
Oh, yeah.
I mean, if you live in Fairfield, you know that area.
Well,
I would think you would.
I'm a little too close to that area to be very high.
Oh, is that why you do that?
Pardon?
Is that why you give to different people?
No, I think, are you familiar, and they divide up by neighborhood as well as, I'll be doing a lot of multifamily and investment properties as well. So we all try to get a little depth, not just sporadic
Got it.
over there, so we do try.
Okay.
Thank you very much,
So
Eric. You have
nice
a
to
good
meet you.
day.
I'm doing 2 more next Wednesday, maybe I'll see you again.
Maybe. I'm a morning person, so.
Oh, okay, yeah, this one's 4 o'clock and 7:45 next week, so maybe somebody else.
I'll be looking for it.
Take care.
Thank you.
Stay well now.
You
Did you
too.
get your shot yet?
I did.
You got both of them?
I took the Johnson & Johnson one and
Oh,
done.
really?
So
When did
see.
you take it, this week? Did you have a reaction?
I'm a little tired, but I kind of blamed that on the board of Justice.
You're the first person I know.
Yeah, we went.
I think you got the best.
My husband works internationally and he's having a really hard time getting that second shot in, and he said, let's just do the one and done. And we went together and it was so efficient, so well done over at University of Bridgeport through, Yale New Haven, and it was awesome.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah, they did a great job on the process.
Oh, good.
Once you get through online, so how are you in the process? Good?
Yeah,
You had a second?
my husband and I are having our second shot on Saturday.
Good.
We got some Moderna, and all we had were sore arms, but we're anticipating being sick this weekend.
Yeah, the second one is, supposed to have a little more,
Yeah.
but
I made no plans, not that I'm going anywhere anyway.
I think you're gonna be fine. And I don't know if they're different, but they did say, please keep drinking throughout the day.
Yes.
The better you're hydrated throughout the day.
Exactly.
You're gonna be up at night. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Hello. Are you Nora?
Yeah.
And, oh, terrific. You just have a seat, I'll be right with you. So you were rescheduled? Is that what?
Yes.
You're, okay. I think I've had you another night on
Yeah.
the schedule or something else, or you're earlier.
We were Monday to Wednesday.
You did scheduling us.
Oh, no, it's not me.
I
It's the
have
magic of the,
I have patients already scheduled from 3 months ago. With COVID, we are still behind on few patients, and I could not schedule all my patients just to come here on Monday. Monday I have full schedule from 9 until 6, patients every 15 minutes.
Well, thank you for calling ahead, and I'm sorry that you're running a little late, but we're kind of in the vicinity. So, I appreciate your wait, and
Thank you very much.
we get through this. So, do want you to know that we are being recorded.
Mhm.
You're signing ahead of being sworn in, so you're getting ahead of there. So hold that paper, don't answer it until I swear you in.
I was supposed to initial.
Okay. My name is Catherine. I'm one of the 9 members of the Board of Assessment Appeals. And my role today, also want to remind you, everything's being recorded. And my role today is to be able to collect enough information from you to understand what you want to say so that I can present on your behalf, and then we will be deliberating and we will vote. So that's my role today, not to give you any answers, but to make sure that I understand your appeal. So that's the first thing. The next is, so for the record, I need to say that the hearing is to begin at 10:25. And your appeal number is 152. The property is a multifamily dwelling at 210 Jennings Road in Fairfield. The owners are present, Fergus and Nora Coulter.
Yes.
And the town has valued the property at $4,042. You are seeking a reassessment, a revaluation to $354,200. Is that correct?
Yes.
Terrific. So, given all that, I'd like to swear you in, please. If you raise your right hand, do you solemnly swear that the information you shall give concerning the assessment appeal now in question shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Thank you, and thank you very much. You have signed to state that we have sworn it in. Okay. So, I know you have a multifamily here. And look, okay. I did look at these, so now I'm looking at. So, I do understand what you're saying here, and there's a lot of paper. If you could help me, because the best presentation, what we try to do is, let's get the fair market value of that property for October 1st, 2020. So, if you have sales, and I understand, this is a different type of multifamily. So, can you tell me what the layout is? Because it looks out, your main part of your appeal is that there's no basement, it's built on the slab.
Well, there are a few more things that I will just give a few short points to record.
And please take me through what is in here. Like, when I walk in, what are the apartments?
Yes,
Because so many multi-families are 2 bedrooms, they're the same on each side or up and down.
Let me just mention 4 points, and then Fergus will talk all the technical details.
Great.
So the property on 210 Jennings Road was bought in 1997 as a single-family dwelling with existing in-law apartments. In 2020, the property was reclassified by the town as a multi-family due to zoning regulations that are not allowing in-law apartments in Zone C. The house was brought up to the code as required per town requirements. There were no additions and no improvements made to the property, just to bring it up to the code. Property is currently incorrectly classified as a duplex in Vision Appraisal, which carries a much higher valuation than a family convertible. It is not a duplex because it has upper and lower apartments and not a side-by-side dwellings. Additionally, this house has no conventional basement, nor it has livable attic. Therefore, cost of construction is much cheaper than the multi-family traditional house. And as for layout and comparables, I will let Fergus speak on that.
And I want to confirm, so it was, the town said, this is Zone C, and it was last year, I'm sorry, was it
Correct.
2020? Okay. oh, this is zone C, you can't have, well, I'll call them ADUs, the accessory apartments, the in-laws,
Correct.
whatever we want. So now you're a multifamily because.
But nothing has changed to the property.
And you have not made renovations or improvements or anything in the
No.
20-plus years that you've owned it? Okay, so the condition. It is a rental, both units rent?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
And, how were you
usually-
notified of that zone change? I'm just curious where
Sorry,
that.
I didn't hear that.
I know. How could you with these maps? How were you notified of the zone change? Did you just get something in the mail or?
Yes, in 2018, they called us and asked us about the property. And we explained what it was, and they said, a single family with in-law is not permitted in Zone C. So they asked us to change it. We went through some changes to meet the code for multifamily, and then in 2020, they gave us the CO and changed the classification.
And what were the changes?
It needed a firewall in replacement of a regular wall, so the walls were existing. It's just that the drywall
Fire code.
for fire.
Fire code changes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That
okay.
nothing else was done other than to bring it up to the code.
And smoke alarms.
Smoke alarms,
Smoke alarms.
you know, firewall, like the special fireproof walls and smoke alarms.
Okay, no, I'm just trying to,
Yeah, so there were no improvements, nothing was done.
Okay,
It was
and now,
just reclassified.
Zone C, I'm not as familiar, now you're close to Kings Highway there,
Yes,
so
yes.
is C like a,
Commercial.
because C is like a real two-family zone, like there's just a lot of those, so C is more of a commercial
It was
zone?
more of a
Yeah.
commercial zone, which actually carries a lower property valuation because it's not as desirable to live next to the busy highway.
And so, do you think that reclassification, can you quantify that? I'm not asking for out the dollars, but just the classification change. Did the commercial, because it was commercial, was it now that it became residential? Like, I'm just wondering what.
It was
what
always
do you
in a
think is the
commercial
impact?
zone.
Right.
It was always commercial zone. It was classified as a single family with in-law.
Within that zone, though?
Within that
Okay.
zone, so the only thing that changed, they classified it as a duplex, which is.
So I'm wondering,
No,
if that's more of a commercial classification. That's what I was wondering.
It was never classified as a commercial property.
Okay.
It was single family dwelling with in-law, was
Okay.
classified as a duplex for some reason. It is not a duplex, it's what's called a family convertible.
Okay. And where did you get the family convertible term?
At Ferguson.
Yes, so I looked at any properties that are multifamily, and anything that's a duplex is side by side. So I looked at the styles and I saw that there's two types, either a duplex or a family convertible. So this falls in the category of the second.
Okay, just full disclosure, I have been working on, we have just changed the regulations in town for accessory dwelling units. So the term I'm going to use is ADUs, accessory dwelling units, in that.
Okay,
So
all right.
we're all talking the same thing.
Yeah.
There's architectural, there's legal, so I
Yeah.
wanted to make sure that we're
Okay.
all on the same, if there's some classification I didn't know out there.
Okay.
Okay, and now, would you mind telling me what is the layout of this?
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's got, I put three examples of the very same type of property, 208 Soundview, 32 Warsaw, and 142 Adelaide Street. And ours is identical to that structure.
Oh,
So we just use the Soundview, 208 Soundview as an example. So it's got what you call a first floor, which is really a second floor, but it's a first floor. It's got 1,170 square feet, and it's got 3 bedrooms and 1 bathroom on that first floor, and a kitchen and a living room. And then it's got a finished raised basement, which is really what I call a first floor. It's built on a slab, and then there's 808 square feet, which the accessory apartment is this first floor, the 808 square feet. And so it's got a bathroom, it's got a kitchen, and it's got the 1 bedroom downstairs. So 3 bedrooms upstairs. It's, quite honestly, it's like a normal living house with an accessory apartment. That's, so you got
could you give me the square footage of the upstairs
Yes,
there?
so the upstairs is 1,170.
What's that one? Okay.
Are you giving hours or are you giving
Hours,
the computer?
hours,
Okay.
yes.
Yeah, no, so when I'm looking at, so half of the bottom floor looks like it's garage.
Yes.
And then the other half has this 1 bedroom kitchen.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
and then you go upstairs somehow, and then there's 3 bedrooms
Yes.
and the 1 bath up
Yes.
there. Okay, and you rent both, so do they rent? I mean,
Yes.
do they rent for, or?
We lived there for a long time. It was our primary residence.
Oh, and you lived upstairs.
We lived
Like,
upstairs
wherever.
and we rented downstairs, so we moved out to a different property, and that's when we started renting upstairs, and that's when it came to a point that somehow that you cannot have.
So that was recently.
Right.
You just moved
It was
in.
We lived there
and
Okay.
and that's why it was reclassified by the town.
Okay.
Because if you live in a single with in-law, you can rent
Yes.
in-law, but if you don't live yourself in there, you have to reclassify.
And that is correct. Okay. Then that's why. Okay. Understood. Because you were no longer owner occupied.
Correct.
Okay. All right. That makes a little more, now I guess at least why they had to do the reclassification. Okay. Do you mind telling me what they rent for? Was that?
The one bedroom in our apartment type style is $11.50 we're getting, and what I call the second floor, it's $19.50.
Okay.
But Fergus is paying for.
No, I'm not paying anything anymore.
No.
Okay, no, and it was just, I'm trying to learn if that seems, because other people will come in and those rates seem right in. So there's nothing, there's many more of the duplex two-family styles that are the 2 and 2. So the 3 and 1, you're right, I'm getting it. Okay. Now, tell me about these comps, because that's really helpful. That's when we go into deliberations, everybody wants just a couple of comps.
Yes. So you want me to talk about the comparables, or what I rated for the cost?
The comps would be great.
Yeah.
That really makes the
Yeah.
okay, so I have these.
Yeah. Oh, let me see what you got.
I have 142 Adelaide,
Yeah,
32
okay.
Warsaw, and 208 Soundview.
Right. So they're all very similar. And what I done was I said, let's talk about 208 Soundview. So looking at page 1, you'll see it's got an appraised value of $339,600. The other two are very similar in appraised value. On the bottom of the page, it was built in 1970. It's got a livable first floor of 1184. Our house was built in 1977 with a first floor living area of 1170. Turning over, and it's just around the corner from our house.
Right.
So turning over to page 2, I've made a note halfway down the right-hand side, just noting the square foot of 210, comparison to there. So 1184 versus 1170 and 768 versus 808. So, it's identical building. It's got a finished raised basement and it's got a first floor, as I've described earlier in the conversation. And on the page 3 then, they're both built on 5,000 square feet. So our property at 210 Jennings Road is built on 1/8 of an acre, which is 5,000 square feet, and so is this one, and then they're both in neighborhood 90. And the other two comparables I gave you are very, very similar. So that, to my mind...
These are they, so this one on Soundview is a raised ranch. Is it a single family?
It's a single family.
I mean, the raised ranch, I understand that layout, so I definitely understand the 3 bedrooms, the square footage and all that, but it is a single family now.
Right, but true, but the key is that it's got a finished raised basement, and all of those houses with a finished raised basement have a livable floor on the finished raised basement. So in comparison to structure and style and livability, it's identical. And cost of construction, it's identical there. That if you have a larger family, you're going to use the first and second floors, use your finished raised basement. If you have, in our case, we were living on one of the floors, and the second area, we were renting it because we weren't using it.
Absolutely, that's right.
So the 2 identical houses were built on an identical plot, literally around the corner from each other, but the house we bought, somebody simply separated, they just put one extra door to separate upstairs and downstairs, and they placed a little kitchenette and the shop, and that was it. So nothing has changed to the construction cost.
No, and are you saying that this house did that, or it could be?
No, ours.
The one that we bought was initially exactly built like that. but the prior owner simply
Put a door.
put a door to
them.
separate the.
So you really have a raised range?
Yes.
We have a raised range.
That was where I was going, I was
Yes.
tested because of the side view, so
Right.
Yeah.
I think that brings us to, it's the picture. You know, from your street, you're on the side, the
Yeah,
raised range.
yeah, it's
We
long.
are-
Now I have a lot better picture in my mind, so, and that would be the same situation, I guess, with Warsaw.
Yeah.
In that I'm looking at the side.
Yes.
Okay, and now Warsaw also sold, thank you very much, your comps are exactly what we're looking for in the time period. I really need to know that this is a raised ranch. Okay, that really,
Our house is a raised range, was built at around the same time.
very hard to tell from the picture.
You know
Right
why?
now, the
Because
front
they
one.
used a raised range usually with the entrance towards the,
Yeah, the
road,
front.
but the builder simply turned it sideways.
Yeah.
So if you go on the other side, you will see the raised range.
Yeah.
If you,
But I didn't see that in the
but
picture.
you're,
so
on the
now
picture,
I
you're looking at the
understand.
side of a raised range house, on the
Okay.
side view.
And the one on Warsaw Street did sell for $436, and that's in November. And again, single family though, it's not being used as a rental.
Right.
It's classified as that. Okay.
But the other key there is that even though of the sale price is that, you have a valuation of 334, which is 100,000 less. And I'm not
We're
complaining
looking
about
at
it.
valuation.
We're looking at valuations and
Half year, comparison, we're looking at valuations, not at the sales price.
Yeah. Okay, and then the third one on Adelaide
yeah, so it's got
is,
similar again.
okay,
And the valuation of,
okay. And that has a $330 sale price. We're going just on sales. So, okay. So the three sales, just go, I understand what you're saying about the valuation, and I'll talk about that in the presentations and the deliberations. I know that we're looking at the comparable sales prices. But the difference with you is that you now have this rental that's made into a multifamily, so that should value a little differently than the sale price, than the other structure.
Right.
But you are really right in there, the 390 and the 436 and the 330 you're asking for in there. Okay.
So let me add some more.
Yes, please.
For my line of work, I'm a financial analyst. So what I've done, I looked at all the properties between Kings Highway and Blackrock Turnpike on that stretch of Jennings Road, where most of them are multi-families. They all have a basement, except for the 210 Jennings Road, and a lot of them have got the finished attic, which they can use and rent it out. But when I ran the math of the gross living area and the cost per square foot and what you've done with the appraisal valuations, the cost per square foot based on the gross area is 167 for 210 Jennings Road. When I look at the average of all of those, it's probably 20 or so houses, the average is 118. And the reason why the cost of the gross area for 210 Jennings Road is that much higher is that, like I say, they have all factored in that there is a cost of a basement and the more expensive cost of the attic. So, to make a comparable assessment, you need to take down the valuation for 210 Jennings Road, because you're not comparing like with like when you look at the multifamilies. They have basements and livable attics, whereas 210 doesn't. That's yet another point to compare as to why the valuation is too high.
also wanted to draw your attention to the fact that the average for every multifamily in the area is 118 per square foot. Ours, for some reason, is the only one that is 167 per square foot. That's what in healthcare we call an outlier. Outlier is something that does not fit in within 95% confidence interval. It's somebody in the fringe 5% here, 5%. We're probably in the 1%. Actually, we're an outlier, which kind of tells me it's probably an error.
And this is a listing of all the properties on Jennings Road in that section?
Yes.
And for this could give you a copy once we're done on
She's a
this.
copy.
And they're all low, and that's.
They're all in zone C, yes.
And they're all listed as multifamily?
Correct, yes.
Okay. So are there no single families on that?
There are some,
But
but
not,
the majority are multifamilies.
oh, okay. All right, and they're all two families?
Correct. And duplexes.
2 families, 3 families,
And there's a duplex across the
a couple.
Okay. All right, and do you know if any of these sold?
There was one across the road, I believe it was number 199. It sold for 467, but it was a 3-family. It had about 2,400 square feet, and the lot size was 10,000 square feet. So the square footage was higher. The lot size was double. It's 3-family versus 2-family. It also had a basement. So, all the above made the valuation of that much higher.
Right, okay, and just give me, because I was right, it's a 3-family, what did it sell for? 465, did you say?
Which number was it? It was,
Oh, you said 191, 4.
no, actually, I think it was 191.
No, wait, well, you have the appraisal.
No, it's this one here, 144, the one, 191, which you've appraised for 457,700. That sold, around that same price. And like I say, it was a 3-family with, 2,400 square feet, 2,418 square feet.
Okay.
With a basement and double the lot size, 10,000 square foot basement.
And 3 apartments.
And 3.
Floor for rental with 3 apartments.
And,
Basement and all.
and you think that sold last year or?
It sold, I believe it was I think it was 2019 it sold.
Okay. All right. Well, I appreciate your information. Once I realized it was a raised ranch, just the picture fell right in there. I just couldn't figure it out from the picture, so I appreciate that. And I appreciate the reclassification because you're a non-resident owner. So that is not allowed for the accessory dwelling unit. But it's all in there. Okay. Do you have any other points that you want to make to me? Do you think
Well, I do have one more point. So, based on the town valuations for the 3 examples I've given, for Soundview and Warsaw and Adelaide, where you've got those valued at 340 and you've got ours valued at 404. If I was an investor coming in and I was looking at, will I buy one of these or will I buy the one for 404? I'm going to buy one of those, 8 or 60,000 cheaper, plus the cost of converting it is just doing the firewall and the electric.
Right.
So anybody coming in to buy 210 Jennings versus the other ones where it's 404 versus 340, it wouldn't make sense for somebody to spend that much more money to buy 210, simply because the cost of conversion is very inexpensive, and you can get the same, multi-family property by taking one which is costing much lower and converting
You
it.
can get the same return.
Yeah.
And my point is that those 3 other houses are ranch, and that was built exactly the same way. And that building itself, the cost of the building and everything in the same area is valued by or assessed by the town at 300 plus. And whereas ours is exactly the same range, just with additional firewall and additional door, and it's, for some reason, it's valued way and above.
Yeah, 65,000.
65,000. So that's my main point. If we look at the cost of construction that drives the valuation, the cost of construction is the same. And the other thing in comparison to all other, even multi-family properties that were built with a basement, much higher cost of construction. You can rent out the attic, you have additional livable basement or a basement for storing things. We don't have any of that, but for some reason, despite all of that, our house is an outlier when it comes to an assessment in comparison to all other, even multi-family, more expensive houses. And yes, the duplex is incorrect. I think it's all because it's classified as a duplex in the vision appraisal, which it is not a duplex.
Well, and to look at your improvements, I just want to add, I want to again confirm that you haven't renovated anything. So the condition, the interior condition of your property is
Correct.
at
Same
least
as well.
dated 20 years plus more. These ones that sold, so again, that it's just a different way of looking at things. If you say construction costs, our focus is really on the what's selling. And these properties have sold for this. Why would I adjust you up and down? For the sales price, it's statutory. We have to look at that October 2020 sale price. That all said, if these sold, do you think do you know if they were in, better condition or less, especially the first two, Soundview and Warsaw? Do you know if they had updated, an updated kitchen or newer bath? Do you happen to know that?
So we don't know.
Okay.
But having said that, even the fact that they sold for that much higher, the town has decided in those cases only to give them a $340,000
So that is
valuation.
the fair valuation.
Yeah,
For
according
those
to you
houses,
guys-
we should be treated the same
Yeah.
way fairly and given that same valuation as their properties were given. Basically, they're paying taxes.
Well, especially, and the point really being that you're not more renovated than they are.
No.
Which is
No, people
sort of what's
can
saying here, just look at the dwelling, and you're saying you're not, and I believe you, I'm not saying that. So, what I may do is I'll probably just go on and take a couple of pictures, or, take a look at some of the, if you wouldn't mind doing some of that work for me, go on Realtor, especially for the top two, and I'll
Just
try
to
to
see
do
what
it,
the
but if
pictures
you,
are inside, yeah.
if you could just email me over the link just to make us, we have 650 appeals, and the faster I get that back, the easier my deliberation, because it's that much fresher as to when I can get to it.
Okay.
So if you could, I'll give you the email.
Yes.
BAA, Board of Assessment Appeals, BAA @fairfieldct.org. And if you could put appeal number in the subject line of the email, appeal number 152, to Catherine with a C, CATHERINE. I'll know. So what I'd like to see is, the condition, the market, the listing, to show that I need to see the condition of Soundview and Warsaw because they fall within the time frame. And if you want to get out of late, but that's 2014, so that's a little beyond our. And
I'm pretty sure that people most likely done up their kitchens and whatnot. We have
if we could
original
just see
kitchen cabinets from when we bought that house upstairs, and that was the same 1970s kitchen
Well,
cabinets.
and that's my point. I don't really need to see, 42 pictures of your house. It'll suffice to say this is the original. We're not here to not trust you. I'm here to say, let's see if that 390 had a new kitchen and a new bath, and then it just makes a more direct case. You understand? What would have got, and then to consider that yours is a rental. And
I just have a
still
question.
single family.
When their houses were assessed at 340, how did the town looked at whatever the data they looked at that range, and they came up with that valuation.
But they would have known that the property had sold. I read in the town.
But they already knew that the properties were sold around there. So obviously that assessment was not made based on property sales. It was made based on cost of construction.
And that's why we're here as a board of assessment. There's 20,000 properties in town, and it's a great model. And if Fairfield's known as, as he says, COVID certainly, and the demand for the property certainly sent things up. But your point is
people are fleeing New York right now because that was a COVID epicenter. There were so many patients that just dumped the property there, moved and in haste bought for whatever the money is just to get out of the city. So that
the assessments have to catch up with that too, and that's why.
But in the meantime, we would like to be.
And that's why you're
treated
here.
The same way as everybody else.
And that's why you're here. So
The fairness and the quality is very important because as a nurse practitioner, I always treat everybody fairly to what's the best for them. I don't say, okay, just because this patient has Medicaid and this person has Blue Shield with insurance, I'm going to give this patient, 5 minutes of my time and this patient, 30 minutes. No, I treat everybody equally, regardless of insurance, race, gender, religion. I do what's best for them. So I would like your expertise to help us and teach
I
us.
appreciate your input, the talent, we're glad that you're participating, because that's only gonna make it better, that's what makes us Fairfield, we're very participating, yes, now. And if you're comfortable that I can present, that I understand your case, I've given a few things to follow up on that I think will, help the presentation, and what we by statute have to look for. I would appreciate that, and if we get it to me the next day or two, that's even better. As I do my hearings, I try to pull my notes together. So, I wanted to, kind of conclude, thank you, let you know the process. Once we vote, which we have everything scheduled, we hope to do everything in March.
Okay.
That's by statute. And you'll get a notice of the decision. If your appeal is denied, you can come back next year. If you're granted a rejection, you cannot appeal again until the next reval in 5 years. If you don't agree with the board's decision, you can go to court, and instructions for all of that will be laid out in the decision letter.
Okay.
So I thank you for your time, your information, your interest, being part of Fairfield, staying in Fairfield. And if you don't have any other questions for me, I will conclude the hearing at 10:55.
Okay.
Thank you very
Thank you,
much
Catherine.
for your time and for your expertise.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
All right.
Stay safe.
You too. I'm sorry, some of my phones that booked at the same time as people coming in. I was like, well,
I never got a confirmation on the phone.
I can't do two. So, no, I'm sorry about that.
Okay.
I can't have everybody at several at the same time, so, okay. So may I ask who you are so I can
Do I
put
stay
the
over
right
here?
file? You do. You are?
Jason Colers. I'm the owner of the property.
All right. Rennie Rose?
Yes.
Okay, 2031?
Mm-hmm.
Terrific, okay.
I feel like I'm in court.
It does seem a lot like it, I am not a lawyer. But you are also being recorded,
Believe me, I had to go. Yeah, my company, we record every call, I understand.
so everything's being recorded,
Yes.
it's all for freedom of information and so forth. I'm Catherine, there's 9 members on the Board of Appeals, I am one.
Okay.
My role for today is to understand your appeal, and make sure that it, jives or supports what we need, the information that we also need to move it forward. And then I will take it to the majority of the board, so at least 5 of us, and we will deliberate and vote at that time. So that is my role. Wanted to explain that, to let you know that we're being recorded.
Mm-hmm.
And as we're being recorded, for the record, this appeal is starting at 10:59. It is appeal number 203 for 2031 Reading Road. Jason Kalora,
Yes.
thank you, is the owner. And he is present. The town has valued your property at $959,900, and you are asking for a revaluation to $880,000.
Correct.
That is correct. Great, put that. And terrific. So if you would raise your right hand, I will swear you in. Do you solemnly swear that the information you shall give concerning the assessment appeal now in question shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Okay, and this will go there. If you could sign that you were sworn in, and then we can go over your appeal here. Thank you.
Of course, I
So it
didn't
looks like
bring
there
a
were,
pen.
no, we have those.
Great, thanks so
There you
much.
go, that probably should be left there anyway.
Yeah.
Okay. So did you just move to Fairfield last year?
Yes, we did.
Was 2020? Okay,
We love it.
great.
I normally work in Westport, but of course, right now I'm working here.
So, nice to have a beautiful view then, terrific. All right, so, take me through why you think your property is worth $880,000.
Sure. So we bought the property last year for $762 in April of last year. It had sat on the market for some time. We applied with the town and we booked work of building permits of about $45,000 because there's a fair amount of work that had to be done on the house. Zillow is showing the house in November is worth about $810,000. And I figure between the building permit, the purchase price, and depreciation, and being generous with the valuation, I'm kind of landing somewhere around $880,000.
Okay. Now, I see, I tried to read through this. Are there 2 buildings on the property?
There's a main house. There's a house.
There's a
And
house.
there's a cottage and a barn, which were grandfathered back. They were built, I believe, in 1923, according to what I know.
Okay, yep, no, and it looks about 1920, I see that, okay. And so the entire property, there's not 2 valuations for each of them, no?
No, it's
Okay.
the entire property.
All right, I just wanted to, don't often see 2 cottages. So your cottage looks like, it might have been, it's all living space, there's no garage in there?
No garage.
Okay.
It's 700 square foot, roughly, 2 floors, single bathroom, bedroom/loft, whatever you want to call it.
And does somebody live there?
Yes.
Do you rent it out as a?
Yes, we do.
Okay,
Mhm.
terrific. Okay.
And the barn is a non-working barn right now.
And that's a 3rd
Yes.
structure?
Yes.
Okay.
I say non-working, because there's no animals in it.
Oh, right, okay, you're not, okay.
There will be someday, but right now there isn't.
Okay, what do you plan to put in?
Something that doesn't annoy people. Probably something simple.
Oh, very good. No, there's always, look around the area, there's a guy on North Street, he's got some pigs. He's
Yeah,
got,
there's goats, there's
petting
horses.
zoo for his grandchild type thing, so.
Yeah, when I say not annoying people, I'm not gonna go get a llama or, a rooster or something.
Okay, that's fine. That's somebody else's department, I'm sure.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Okay.
We've spoken to them too.
Okay. So really, your appeal is based on what you paid for the property?
Plus
Yeah,
plus the
plus
building
your
permit,
renovation,
plus
so
some
it's-
appreciation.
Okay, so, well, even you bought it for 62, your renovations permits are for 40, so that brings you up to 810, and then you're still at 880.
Yeah.
Okay.
The nearest comparable we could find was 137 Woodhouse. Unfortunately, I did not submit that originally.
Okay.
But this is the nearest comparable I can find in a recent sale that seems to almost match our property. Apart from the fact there's only one structure on the property.
Okay. And it matches in square footage?
It matches square foot, bedrooms, bathrooms, and acreage.
Okay.
And neighborhood. It's just over on First Street. So.
Right.
It may or may not be helpful. I thought, I should try to at least find something that looks comparable.
Well, you have a unique property in that it was built in 1810, and it needs a lot, and then again, you have the...
Don't I know it?
Well, and you know, this is, I'm
It's
just
good and
looking
bad.
at it, it's, you know, it's kind of the standard of, I'm not sure when it was built, but my guess is probably the mid-60s, colonial, you know, it's a more, might even be newer.
Yeah,
I appreciate that.
We had a fun time. We opened the basement ceiling up because we were basically just checking down, making sure there was no asbestos anywhere. And we ran into a Korean War newspaper. That was kind of cool.
That is, when
Yeah.
I find these out.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, and this is the property, so that's sold for $843 in October.
And it's the closest comparable I could find that
Right.
seems best match.
Okay, so the square footage is the same?
There was a house up the street that just sold recently, but it's much bigger than ours. It's an 1817 house, but it's quite a bit bigger.
And what did that sell for?
It's over $1 million. I don't know what the number was. It's right on Reading Road. Gorgeous house. Like whoever fixed it up has done the whole thing.
Okay, any idea what the number of it is? Just to say, like, I mean, that's,
It's
you
gonna
know, Reading is a long...
It's gonna be in the
street.
22 or 2300s.
Great.
Yeah, on the side of the street.
Reading Road, and that's an antique.
Yeah, and
It probably has been restored.
Oh, it looks like it.
Okay,
It's like one of those houses that you look at and like, oh, I want to go inside and look.
just look. And you think that sold for over $1 million?
Oh yeah,
Okay, just so when I pull it up, I'll pull up the right one.
it's just the closest thing in terms of age of home.
Right, and, okay, I appreciate the brevity of your case.
No problem. Try to make it as simple as possible.
Well, and I don't want to, you know, take up extra time.
Yeah.
I mean, we have the two comparables, we have what you bought for and what's here. And I just want to take a look at your look forward to see if there's anything on there, which it sounds like you were pretty thorough, you probably did take a look to make sure there's not something amiss on it.
I did too, and obviously as part of doing the original
looks
work,
right.
doing the mortgage and the diligence, I checked, of course, last year. So.
Okay. Did you get an appraisal for your purchase?
Oh, you mean?
For the bank?
Yeah, but the bank, it was lazy. I say lazy because it's just like, yes, go ahead.
So they didn't, because, you know.
I don't want to be cynical, but you know how banks work sometimes.
Did the appraisal come in high? Is that?
No, it didn't. I don't remember if there was even a number. I think they just approved the mortgage. I'll go back and check.
If you find that appraisal, because again, that's one more piece of evidence about your property that's certainly hands-on for that.
I'm not trying to be dismissive. I just think it was one of those drive-by appraisals, so I don't know. I'll find it.
If there is one, and you know, you can give me the chart of the comparables and send it over. Our email, I'll give you our email.
Okay.
Is BAA, or the Assessment Appeals, at fairfieldpt.org. And if you could reference in the subject line, Appeal 203, and Catherine with a C, C-A-T-H-E-R-I-N-E.
Okay.
I like that, makes the email stand out to me, and then I
No
can
problem.
pull that up, and,
No, I have nothing. I just the quality of the assessment I wonder about.
but if it supports your case,
Oh, I understand.
it's a bank appraisal, it's just one more, piece of that. So, and we are aware,
Cool. No problem.
and there are people who do, but, it is good.
I'm sure you guys know more about than I do. No doubt.
Well, I know when I do my presentation, you know, what sometimes is easier to present.
Yeah.
So, do you have any other pieces of information or anything that you want to show?
No,
Okay,
that's
Well, as I just said, I'll be presenting to a majority of the board. You'll be notified by mail within 7 days of our decision.
Okay, cool.
All decisions will be made in March. If your appeal is denied, you can come back next year. If you're granted a reduction, you cannot appeal again until the next revow in 5 years. If you don't agree with the board's decision, you can take the next step and appeal your decision in court. Instructions will be included in the decision letter.
Great.
I thank you for your time.
Thanks,
Welcome to Fairfield. I appreciate your participation. And I look forward, hopefully, if you get a couple of those pages of the appraisal. I'm looking for that chart, especially, you know.
I know what you're looking for.
Yeah, just a few of those and the revat, you know, what they appraise it at, because that'll be very close to the appraisal date too.
Okay, awesome. Thanks so much.
Okay, thank you very much.
Have a great day.
Hello, Kevin, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Hi, I'm good, thanks. If you could have a seat over
Yes,
there,
sure.
or I'm gonna move over to.
Sure.
I've got yours, how are you doing?
Doing good. How are you?
Okay, I am pretty good, I'm a little busy right now.
I'm
A little
sure.
crazy here.
I'm sure.
So, let me grab your file, I did go through it, and Kevin, I'm Catherine Giff, you may recognize me, so, because I wanted, to have separation, I'm gonna give another call, I'm gonna call, a second board member.
Okay, yep.
Deal, just so that we get everything,
That's fine,
and,
yeah.
you know, make sure that everything's up and running.
Yeah.
So, that you know, obviously I'm Catherine, there's 9 members on the Board of Assessment Appeals, so I'm gonna give Paulette, a call, and, she just texted me, she's
Sure.
ready to be heard on.
Okay, good.
I'll just put her on the speaker in case we have anything. And so my role today is to hear your appeal and to be able to present it to a quorum or a majority of the board. So
Sure.
there'll be at least 5 of us that will deliberate and vote on it.
Okay.
So that is our, okay, she's now waiting, just to make sure we all stay cold, phone hopefully goes through. So, and in the meantime, I want you to know we are being recorded because
Okay.
of COVID.
Yep.
And the hearing is going to start at 11:12. Put on speaker. Hello, Paulette?
Yeah, I'm here.
Hi, Paulette, Kevin, Kirby is here for the appeal. He is the owner. I'm going to say the hearing's starting at 11:12. I appreciate you listening in, as Kevin and I have been neighbors, so we'll have to have that second part. We're up to the step of confirming everything. He's been, I haven't sworn him in yet, but this is for Appeal 120 for 258 Aaron Hill Road. The owners are Tammy and Kevin Kirby. Kevin is present now. The town has a value on the property of $737,400, and you're asking for an appeal amount of $581,772. Is that all correct?
Yep.
Great. I'd like to swear you in now, so if you could raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear that the information you shall give concerning the assessment appeal now in question shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Terrific. Thank you very much for that. And I'm going to give you a statement that you have been sworn in. And then we can proceed with hearing.
Okay.
Are you here, Paulette? Okay. Okay, so for you,
All right, thank you.
just give that a sign for the file.
Yep.
Acknowledging you've been sworn in. asking for a reduction based primarily on square footage analysis.
Well, it's really based on analysis of all the factors and features that went into the, the assessment.
Okay.
The square footage is one of the more important, kind of one of the ones that stood out the most. There's some other aspects as well. The land value in particular, there was a kind of a question about that. It seems like that's unusually high compared to some of the other properties in the neighborhood.
Okay. The best way that we can get a fair market, because our job by the state is to come up with a fair market value for your property as of October 1st of 2020.
Yeah.
And we do it for all the properties in town. So it's not like we're picking, miscellaneous dates all over.
Sure, yeah.
So when I look at, the two things I like to confirm is that you have a split level home.
Yes.
So while you're showing a living area of just over 2,000 square feet, you also have a finished basement and then a finished raised basement, which adds actually another like 1,100 square feet. So your real living space, although it's for a split level, is closer to probably 3,100 square feet. Okay, so that has an impact of some of your analysis, I believe.
Yes.
However, you did come up with what competitive sales? You had a list of some of the sold properties in the neighborhood?
Yes, so I looked at 10 comparison homes in the neighborhood, and there were 4 of those that had sold within the last year. So there's 255 Erin Hill Road, 477.
Okay, and I do have that chart, so
Okay.
that's great. I think let's speak to that. That's terrific. Okay.
Yep. 460 11 O'Clock Road, and then 2745 Burr Street. Again, those are the ones that have sold within the last year.
Okay.
The one that may be more relevant is actually the one right across the street, 255, that sold in, I think it was October or November of last year.
Okay. And it's things now, is that a similar style to yours, meaning split level?
To me, it's similar. I don't know if it's technically a split level. It does have multiple levels. I don't know technically if that's the same. It does have a basement. It does have a first floor, a second floor, and a third floor. So I think of them as being similar. But technically, I don't know if it's split level.
Okay. But that would be, and considering it's across the street from you.
Right.
Right. Okay.
They were built within 2 years, 1960 and 1958. That home sold for, actually let me see it here, that home sold for $790,000.
Okay.
And again, that was fairly recent in I believe, November. And that home is, at least according to the square foot that we see in the, in the listing, it's about 70% larger. Even the gross, the gross and the living area are both quite a bit larger. And again, that's not the only factor. I did look at the number of beds and bathrooms, the condition of the home, at least according to the percent good value that's shown in the assessment as well.
Okay. And you think that, so you're looking at the 3,470 square feet of living area. And then what do you consider the condition of that property to your home?
Well, I just used the values that were in the listing, so there was a percent good of 67 for mine and 64 for that one.
Okay, so you're thinking they're pretty comparable in condition?
I think they're pretty comparable. I'm sure you could find, exceptions here and there, but again, they're built within 2 years and, generally kind of comparable.
Okay, and then you also have 477 Erin Hill Road listed as a comp that's sold, so that's pretty close to where you are, right?
Yep, and again, that's sold in 2020. That sold for $807,000.
Okay.
And again, you can look at all the different features. The living area was reported as 3,040. Gross area was 5,340. So again, quite a bit bigger. That was 50% bigger, and at least in terms of the living area. I understand your point about the different types of.
And you took these off the field cards?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. I took these off the most recent field cards in, I think it was February.
Okay. Yes, that's when they come out. So, okay, and then that's why you have the only the living area of 2,054 because of the field cards. Okay. And then Burr Street, probably less than a comp as to the ones on your street.
Right.
I'm not familiar with that actual home. Is that also a split, or does that tend to be, is that more of a colonial?
I'm actually not familiar with it either, I just looked it
Okay.
up in the,
All right, because that sold for over $1 million.
Yeah.
So maybe we use the two comps on your street for your value.
yeah, that one's a little bigger and it's a little newer, so it's hard to, it may not be the best comparison, but I wanted at least a fair number of them so I could start to get a kind of a pattern.
Right, okay. But would you agree that the two houses on your street that sold for $790 and $807 are probably the closest?
Yes.
Because they're right there.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, and honestly,
they both sold in 2020, which is good to see.
yeah, and honestly, all of these four comparison houses fit very well in terms of a pattern of sort of predicted sales price based on all of these features. There was pretty much a straight line that fit right through the four different ones.
Okay, so you took those prices, and if I flip it here, because now you get, I know you're a scientist and an engineer, and I know that but you plot out the sale price to the living area.
Really, all of the factors. I built a little nonlinear model that looked at the sales price as a function of all of these various factors. In fact, it was really split up into three pieces. One was the actual value of the land itself, which is primarily a function of the acreage, and then the dwelling value, which again, that's where the square footage, the gross, the living, the bedrooms, bathrooms, the condition, all that stuff really factored in. And then the separate kind of outbuildings and the extras was just a separate factor that was in there as well.
Okay.
So, but yeah, the living area wasn't important. That was the most important factor as far as the actual dwelling value. But the other things did play a role as well.
Okay, and then can you, briefly take me through the nonlinear, that's kind of hard just for me to communicate, to come up with your 581?
Yeah, it's, conceptually, it's like the little, line that you look at, basically the sales price by the living area. It kind of looks at all of the different factors like that, but it does it simultaneously. It looks at all of those things in combination to figure out what's really driving the sales price of the homes in the comparison set here, and how important are they, and how much do they count, how much do they matter. And again, the living area was one of the, probably the most important one, but they all played, somewhat of a role in this little model that predicts the selling price of the home.
Okay. Well, Kevin, I think we probably have to work around it. Your living area on the card here is 2,054. I'm not disputing that.
Mm-hmm.
It does not include either the finished basement or the finished raised basement. And if we were to add those, that would put you much closer to 3,100 square feet.
Yeah.
Now, I don't have the field card for those other properties, especially the ones on Arrow Hill.
Yeah.
Do you have that?
I have the one across the street. I just have for reference here. I do
Okay. And on that field card,
Yeah.
how is the finished basement? Because I think it is a split as well. How when you have the gross area and the living area chart on the second page?
Yeah.
How are they coming up with their 3,100 square feet?
They have first floor 2798.
Okay, so they have a significantly higher first floor.
Yeah, my first floor is 2054. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, and then do they have? What else do they have?
The only other thing they have there in that column, there's a half-story finished, which is 672.
Okay. Just because, the below grade, the walkout, I know those have factors in there.
Yeah.
However, yours is still pretty livable space, you have that walkout. So that would be my concern as to your evaluation.
Yeah, and again, I don't,
And I want you to be able to address that. That's what I'm giving you that opportunity to address and say, no, Catherine, you're wrong.
Yeah. No, well, and honestly, I don't know, how the other homes, how the...
And here's Paulette weighing in. Yes, Paulette?
I know it's hard to believe, but when they do flip, when you appraise them, even if you had a home appraisal, private appraisal come in, that lower level, which is
Okay.
My own house, it's 2,500 square feet, but they only count for 1,500 on my field card. So if you compare it to a colonial or a cape, and with a similar situation, they don't calculate the same way. There is some calculation for tax purposes for that finished, what they call lower level, the grade level. But you don't count it in the square footage, and I don't know why. They never can explain it. Rob can have an answer, because they just don't use it.
So, Paulette, that's why I asked you to be here, because she's got so much more depth here. So do you think that Mr. Kirby and I are, do you think they're valid points? What do you think of his analysis? Do you have anything that you could add? Because he's coming in at 581.
Okay.
Where the properties across the street and its valuation are 790 to 807.
Now, in his house, I couldn't hear quite everything.
I appreciate it.
The square footage for his main level, which is really the middle level, and then his upper level is how much? Just those two.
First floor is just over 2,000, and then they have what's the finished raised basement, 728.
So what about the second floor?
I think that's probably in his first floor.
Oh, they sometimes do
Because
that.
it just goes over the entire, it might be a multi-level, but yeah. That first floor, looking at the house, 2,054, and then the walkout finished basement raised is 728, and then there's another step down with a finished basement that would be considerably below grade. That's not more below grade. That's another 480 square feet.
So the first of that 2,000 whatever square feet, that looks like it's low level. Now the comp, that the neighbors across the street that's got a much higher value. Okay.
Well, they just sold at 790.
Okay, but how much was their square footage?
2,700, which is more equates to his with the finished raised basement.
And the source for that 2,700 is
First floor.
Mhm.
First floor. Field card, correct.
right. Okay, so I would say that if it's a little bit bigger, but if that's also a split and it doesn't include that raised basement or really the first floor of the house, the grade level floor, then they're pretty comparable. If it did include the lower that other level, it does. Then we have to do more adjustments on that.
No, I think it does. I think that's what, actually, can I see the field card to make sure?
Absolutely.
Kevin's house is definitely a more traditional split, but longer, and the other one is really more colonial.
Okay, so
It's more colonial. I mean, it's more colonial in nature, but it is still a split. You can tell how the windows went. The way they built on, they did a side garage type thing. Yeah. So,
that may account for some of the difference in the values. It is a form of traditional split, and that was more of a colonial look, or colonial split. It would be more valuable to buy. Buyers tend not to
yes,
split.
right.
It's limited, right? But no, they don't understand the value of that lower level piece. But you have to look.
Right, and it's very usable, right.
Very level. So I have to look at the whole thing like in front of me, but I would say that, we'll certainly look at them because they're on the street. But if that's more of a colonial, that will be more valuable. So I think that's something we're going to have to take a look at, the deliberation, and see where they really fall together.
And I absolutely agree with you. I just wanted Mr. Kirby to realize that his square footage, market-wise, the tax card may have some adjustments to be made for the perception. So you would agree with that, Paulette? Because that's the point that I'm trying to get there to.
Yeah, not only the adjustments I have to look at them, but
Yeah.
the field card, and it's hard to see on the actual field card. It's easier to see it on these appraisal paperwork. You get to show you what they'll count and what they won't.
Right. Well, and they're both 5 beds, they're consistent in the bedrooms and that. I really wanted Mr. Kirby to know that it's not a straight square footage using just the first floor on the split, and I kind of wanted to back up from you on that. And I'm telling you that That's what, and he's nodding, because I think, he's
Yeah,
like, okay, I get that more than in his linear model. I know it was being driven really by only that first floor, square footage.
Yeah, and I did have the gross area as well, it's just that it wasn't quite as important. But
And the gross area includes, I mean, that takes us
Yep.
further into the weeds
Yep.
here.
Oh, yeah,
So,
sure.
Yeah, I'm looking at that.
yeah, I mean, it just goes, so, as long as I wanted you, and to hear from also Paulette, because
Yep.
she's a wealth of knowledge, that, you know, the 790 across the street that sold for 790 did have a little more colonial feel. Then we could say there should be an adjustment, that you should be lower than the 790.
Right.
Is what we're trying to put together like that appraiser report, analysis in a quick. Because the whole nonlinear models get a little complicated.
Sure, yeah.
Deliberation.
Yeah.
So that would have a more colonial feel. And the same, with 477 Aaron Hill, you don't happen to have that feel, sorry.
I do not, no.
Okay, well, that's fine. We can give that a call up. Are you okay? Like, do you think I've heard? Because I could let Paulette go. I didn't want to take up more of her time and your time.
Yeah, no, that sounds
Was
good. The
there
other thing I
anything
did
else
just want
that-
to ask about and
Sure.
mention was the land value.
You have 2.4 acres,
Yeah.
and I do see that your land value is, most of the land values do seem to fall in that 430 to 460
Well,
range?
you know, it's interesting, but they all had a very straight pattern. In other words, the more acres, the more value. And that was pretty much a linear function, right? But mine, I don't know if you saw the little chart there, mine's kind of off the charts. You know, mine is just much higher. And when I look at the rate cards, I see these two different sections of land. There's the 87,000 square feet, and then there's the 0.45 acres.
Yes.
And I think there's some sort of difference in here. I can't quite understand what drives it, but I do see that the neighborhood adjustment is higher on my property than it is for the others in the neighborhood. So that may have something.
Your neighborhood adjustment is different?
Well, it says 1.9 here, and the other was 0.85. So again, I don't know if that's
Are
what.
you in neighborhood, and I don't have your field, do you have your field plan?
I do. Yeah.
Okay, 'cause that wasn't in the packet.
Well,
You're gonna leave all these with me. Okay, it's for the excess acreage that it's the adjustment. So your neighborhood adjustment, you've got a section, okay.
so there's a.
Paulette, as I say, he's got neighborhood 57, which is the normal adjustment of 0.85, but then for his excess acreage, over the 2 acres that he's needed, he's given a condition of 50% and neighborhood 65. So we have to talk to the assessor about that because that is not neighborhood 65. So Kevin, I'm going to bring that up to the
Okay,
assessor, and that may be,
Yeah,
that's not a discussion of value in our
Sure.
deliberations.
sure.
That's a correction of the field part is how I would present that.
Okay.
Oh, I have a question. How big is that lot?
It's I think 2.4 acres, and so the 2 acres is valued at pretty consistent with the rest of the neighborhood, but then he has this additional adjustment of 47,000 for the excess acreage.
And then if his lot, if it dries, it gets wetland.
Yeah, you have wetlands in the back.
It's mixed, yeah.
Yeah, pretty typical of the
Yeah.
neighborhood. It backs up to the Audubon map.
Yep, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so, that excess acreage is probably where it's not another usable lot, there's no access, there's no easement, is that all correct, Kevin?
Yep, yeah, it's like everybody else's really.
Yeah.
It may be a little bit bigger, I don't know, but it's certainly not all usable and, there's nothing that really stands out as better.
Right, and he's not penalized, it's kind of just really an extension, it would be an extension of the Audubon, but he's gonna own it. Is that pretty how you think of it?
Yeah,
That's
I
a
mean,
condition of it, it's
right.
just left
Right.
landlocked.
Yeah, and that's just like the neighbors too, but again, mine has this little, increase for it, so I'm not sure where that comes from, but I just wanted to point that out.
That to me is more like a correction to the
Sure.
field part, and let me get that through the
Yep.
assessor earlier before our deliberations,
Okay.
and then we'll talk about those comps and the square footage.
Sure.
But I really did want you to understand that a split may not be as high a market value for, customer preference, but your square footage is there, so.
Yep.
That's the point.
Yeah, but you guys factor that all in, right?
Well, that's why we really go about the sale price and knowing the style of the house and how that's gonna
Okay.
factor in, and
Okay.
having those two costs, you know, for you to be lower or higher, and to be able to discuss those is more to the point and easier to discuss than a nonlinear model.
Sure, yep.
You get that,
Yep.
okay.
Yep.
So Paulette, I appreciate your input there, and as always, it's great. And are you still around for a little bit as I catch up, because I have one more that I just feel a little too close to.
Yeah, I'm around. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm around. I'm gonna be doing a few errands, but I'm around.
Okay, he's scheduled in a half hour from now, and I'm running late with the doubling up of it. Okay, I'll just text you ahead. Thank you, Paulette.
Thank you.
Bye.
Yep, bye-bye.
Well, thanks for, there we go. Well, she hung up on me, that's how to do that. So, if there's any, do you have any other points?
That was really the meat of
Okay,
it.
may I have the
Sure.
two appeal cards? That would be helpful,
Yep.
to see the picture. And want to let you know, are you comfortable that I can present these points and
Sure,
come
yep.
to, okay, so, that would be it. The next step,
Okay.
we're going to vote. You're going to hear 7 days after the vote. I went through all of that. And if you have no other questions, I will conclude the hearing.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, Kevin, at 11:35. At 11:35.
All right, yeah, thank you very much.
No, I appreciate it. You know, I appreciate the participation, and just when I said, ooh,
Yeah,
you
no,
know,
yeah, that's understandable, yeah.
I like to have full that in, or one of the other ones.
Yeah, I didn't realize that you did this, actually, so.
Well, it's my first time. It's
Okay.
pretty, you know, it's all volunteer, so it's the best one, yeah, so.
I'm sure it's interesting. Some of our neighbors are trying to get their values raised up, so.
Really? Really? Huh,
Ed Johnson.
really? Huh, okay. Well,
Yeah.
that's good. That makes my job even easier.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
You can take mine.
Thanks a lot. Good to see you again. Take care. Sorry about the water. Oh, I'm glad. Thank you for that positive attitude. My apologies, with the rescheduling, some people, I got doubled up. They are doing a great job keeping us moving. Here you are, you have a lovely seat.
Great. If you don't mind while you're standing here, there's a typo on the first page of my Word doc. So if you don't mind.
Oh, great.
It actually was a number that was mistyped, so it's significant.
Okay, well.
Should I sit here?
Please, sit here.
It seems so impersonal.
I know, but that's what
Okay,
public
fair
is for.
No
So,
problem.
I'm sorry about that.
Not at all, not at all.
Let me get here, and I'm gonna swear you in, so I need
Sure.
you to sign that.
Okay.
After I swear you in.
Okay. You said after you come in?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what it says, that I
Sure.
can swear you in. Tom, I don't know, I know your wife, I felt a little, so I would like to call another board member so
Okay.
that she hears, so that there's no perception that I used to live up. My name's Catherine, and I'm one of the board, I'm one of the 9 people on the Board of Assessment Appeals.
Okay.
So my job today, our role is for me to understand, to be able to present your appeal
Sure.
to a majority of the board.
Yep.
And
Kathy, how do you know my wife?
book club, and I lived in that neighborhood before I moved. I lived in your neighborhood before I moved, so I'm good to know, but it's great that I know the neighborhood, so
Yes.
I'm adding value, but
Yes.
I like to have, and Paulette's terrific, she's got good,
No,
she's a
understood.
realtor and she knows, and so I just want everybody to understand that in fairness,
Yeah, of course.
that's all, everything to be fair. Transparent, fair, all
Oh,
those good
okay.
ones. Yeah, so, and this is why I pulled her in for a couple of, another reason I'm running a few minutes late, but.
Got it.
Okay. But you're the last one I want to. Hello, Paulette. Paulette?
Hi, how are you?
Hi, okay, I appreciate you being available again. This is, Mr. Colin Moore is going to present. I've introduced myself, and we're going for the record. This appeal will be starting at 11:42. 11:42. It is appeal number 242 for 132 Red Oak Road. Tom Collmore is present. He is the owner. The town has valued your property at $892,000, and you're asking for a revaluation to $806,000. Is that all correct?
That's correct.
Terrific. Tom, if you could raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear that the information you shall give concerning the assessment appeal now in question shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you. And if you could sign that sheet and put it in the corner, I will pick it up at the end.
Okay.
So, Tom,
Yes.
take it away. You have several ways. I'd love to focus on the competitive properties, the comparable properties that have sold
Okay.
during 2020,
Okay.
as well as, how you came up with your evaluation.
All right. Well, thank you for this opportunity, Catherine. So if I could just say, I know you're in a hurry, you're behind, so I'll keep this very brief. But my wife and I are both NYU grads and BAA finance concentration. We're both chartered financial analysts, and I happen to be the holder of a certificate in real estate valuation from NYU. Just putting that out there. And a lifelong Fairfielder.
There you go.
There you go. If I may, I used 3 different methods to come up with valuations. You asked me to stress, I believe, the first.
Well, the comparable sales.
Comparable sales, which is basically the first. Okay, so I looked for, initial step was I took all the homes according to the Vision database that I could find that sold within 2 miles of our property according to Google Maps, and 90 days either before or after the appraisal date of October 1st. I found 14 properties, and the price range was approximately, per property, $700K to $1.4 million, which obviously is a huge range. And I noticed that the dispersion of values by net square footage, gross square footage, et cetera, was very wide. So it seemed to be there's something, that wasn't enough information. So what I found was that two criteria really created a much denser pattern of data. One was whether there was an in-ground pool and a three-car garage. And I don't think those are in and of themselves important, but I think there's signals of a higher-end luxury finish. So perhaps Paulette will confirm or deny that, but that's the perception I got from looking at the data. I did an R-squared test, and those two data, which I interpreted from the Vision database, by the way, did have R-squareds that were pretty high. They were both 0.5.
And you have neither of those? You have neither a pool nor a three-car garage?
Correct.
Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay,
correct.
just for the record.
The house was built in 1963. It was, it was if I may be casual, it was not a very well-constructed house back in the day. It's been, the updating has been limited since, which we've been told by Pam Ford of Ravis, who's seen the house, is a huge detriment to our ever wanting to sell the house. We just haven't done much to the house over the years, and Pam says it shows. All right, so we narrowed it down to 3 properties, which also share the characteristics, Calvin, that you mentioned a moment ago, of no three-car garage, no pool. Again, those are just signals. Those are not meant to be important in and of themselves. And the valuations we came up with suggested, and I think I showed you the Excel spreadsheet, a valuation in the low 800s. Second, we looked at, let me make sure I got the order of these right before I start saying second. And by the way, Paulette, there's a Word document that perhaps you've seen that basically expands what I'm saying. We also talked to Pam Ford, whom we know through the book club, and she said the best comps in her opinion were actually not recent comps, but were from a period of similar market tone in 2018, which were, for what it's worth, Rob Sommer's house on Red Oak, whom you may know, and another person whom I don't know across the street from Rob. They're both vintage 1960s, 4 to 5 bedroom colonials, virtually identical gross square footage, similar construction style. Theirs are more updated than ours. We have more net square footage than they have, but according to Pam, in terms of comparability, they're virtually indistinct from our house.
And what did they sell for?
They sold for $795 and $810, I believe. It's on the spreadsheet. Like I said,
okay, but again, you're explaining where you came up with your numbers.
Correct. So that comes up again with about 810, 820.
Okay.
Rough numbers. Again, the numbers are in the Excel spreadsheet. And then finally, we asked Pam to do what is called a CMA. I don't remember exactly what CMA stands for, but perhaps Paulette does. I don't know exactly all the
marketing analysis.
There you go. And I include that in the packet.
Okay.
I don't know what the inputs into that are, but I believe condition is one of the factors. And Pam mentioned that because our house the kitchen is stale, the layout is not contemporary, it's not open, it's kind of broken up a lot. She said that all those would make our house a fixer-upper, it's not a teardown. So that makes Rob's house on the street very comparable. The other house, which again I don't remember the owner's name, very comparable, and that suggested a valuation of 810. Sorry, I'm being repetitive. We're on the CMA now. The CMA came out with roughly the same numbers again. I forgot exactly how.
I have it here between 805 and 810, and you could say repetitive, or we could say consistent.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay, fair enough for that. And just want to go over again, because I know in our deliberations, the focus is on those comparable sales.
Okay.
So I look, and you do have a sheet here with, I don't know, it looks like more than we need of 9 or 10 sales. So I'd just like to pick a few that actually.
Is that the CMA? I'm sorry to interrupt you.
It is. No, it's right here.
Yes, CMA.
Okay.
Thank you.
And if we were to go down that list and even take out the ones that they are all in the reval period, so it might be earlier than, the October 1st date. However, they start with a closed price of $730 and they go up to $860. So let's just, toss a few of those in. And if you're familiar with them, terrific. That's even better. That's where I'm trying to get, well, that's the superior square footage, or that's a better location, or the condition of that.
Sure.
You can see even the days on market, some are short, some are longer. So Elvira Lane, 66 Elvira Lane, was sold in February of the year, is slightly smaller, but still has 4 bedrooms, 3 baths. I believe that backs up to the Merritt, that has the Merritt in the backyard, would that be correct?
I believe Elvira was 1 block away from Marriott's.
Okay, so they are closing at 7:30, while they're smaller, they do have the Marriott, and I believe you have the Audubon, is that correct?
Yes, we can hear, for what it's worth, you probably know, we can hear the Marriott, and you can see the Marriott from Stonewall Lane, which is up the hill from, right up to Stonewall, virtually the same.
Right, in there,
Yeah,
okay.
so we're a little further, but not a lot.
But we do have that comp, and then, any of these other comps that you think, or, are you familiar with any?
I'm more familiar with the ones that were very close to the appraisal date. I'm just looking to see if any of them
Just
jump out
want
at me.
to stand out, are you familiar with Stella that sold at the high end for $860, but that has 5 bedrooms, similar square footage to yours, but 5 bedrooms, 5 baths?
The issue is I excluded the ones with 3-car garages, and I don't know which ending ground pools, and I don't actually have that data with me. So if they have a 3-car garage or an in-ground pool, I excluded them.
Okay.
Or any other, like a barn or anything else.
Did you do this or Pam? This is
Pam
what
did.
Pam did.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
I have no
I'm looking
idea.
at the concept, so you're not familiar.
I'm
Okay.
sorry,
Okay.
I don't.
Nope, that's fine. Let's just read into the record that I'm looking at the comparable sales, and they're running from 730 to 860, and there's nothing in there that you're saying, screams that it's different from your house. Other than what we can see, they're slightly smaller.
I take it face value, this is a fair listing of comps.
Okay, that's fine. They are all in the neighborhood. There's nothing out there.
Right.
That's all I wanted. Okay. Paulette?
Yeah?
Do you have any other questions, or I just want to,
But I have no other questions. I just try to look at everything and let you know.
Okay, that's great. I just appreciate you being here and, making sure we're on the right page here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great day, Paulette. I appreciate it.
Take care.
Bye-bye. Okay.
Okay.
Do you have any other points that you want? I mean, you documented in 3 ways the low 8s.
Pardon me?
You've documented in 3 ways
Yes,
that you're
yes.
requesting.
I feel pretty comfortable, and the market obviously has come back in a dramatic way since the appraisal date, so I wouldn't sell for that amount now. But if you'd asked me back then, I would have said, if I could get $900,000 almost for my house, I'd sell it in a second. Now I don't think so, because I think, as I said, the market's come roaring back in big ways because of COVID.
But we are going for the price at October, to your point.
Exactly. So, yeah, as of October, I think that was way high. And I think the issue is, if you look at, I went through the database, I couldn't find more than one house that had a field filled in for kitchen. And according to Pam, which I don't like too much of this, but she said the single most important thing, given 4-bedroom, 5-bedroom, Greenville Hill, 2 acres, given the standard stuff, single most important factor is kitchen. And there's nothing in the database about kitchens. I found one that said above average. Everything else was average. So there's a field that's just not used. I mean, judging by everything was being listed as average. I think if that field were filled out, I probably would refer to that. But absent information on kitchen, among other things, I'm just calling that out as to me the most obvious flaw of the database, not the towns or the appraisal firms, but just it seems to be a flaw in the data. Calling out the in-ground pool and the 3-car garage is the only thing that seems to be substantiated in the database that I could verify from outside the home by looking in, that seems to dictate whether it's a high value per square foot versus a low or medium value per square foot.
And you've been in the house, I just want to confirm, you've been in there for how many years?
60 years, almost 60 years.
Oh, you were born there. You were
It's my
in there
grandparents'
for years.
house.
Oh, I never knew that. And the last renovations, there's really no renovations shown on the field card or anything. So your kitchen is 20, 30 years old.
It's an old kitchen. Yeah, everything is, it's old.
Okay, well, I have the top.
Great.
You've given us everything that we've asked for. If you want to make any other statements or if you have any other questions?
I guess without knowing, I love the field question, but I think I made the best case I can, so.
I think yes, and I appreciate the information. It's been good.
It's been fun.
Letting me know it.
Sure.
And so I'll deliberate with a majority of the board, and then we will vote as a majority. And you'll be notified, we plan to have all the deliberations done in March.
In March,
You'll be notified within 7 days of the vote.
Great, okay.
So if, now I have to get a little robotic, you'll be notified by mail, all decisions made in March. If your appeal is denied, you can come back next year. If you're granted a reduction, you cannot appeal again until the next revaluation year in 5 years. If you don't agree with the board's decision, you can take the next step and appeal your decision to court, and instructions in that will be in your letter.
Okay, great.
So, thank you very much,
Thank you,
John.
Kathy.
I appreciate you letting me have that second pair of ears. I like
No, not at all.
my familiarity with the neighborhood helps, but familiarity with the appellant. So my last name's Gift.
Pardon?
My last name's Gift, so tell Adrian.
G-A-N-T, Ken.
Gift, almost like Christmas gift.
Oh, Gift.
G-I-F.
Oh, okay.
G-U-F.
I'll tell Adrian to say hello.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Hearing concludes at 11:55. Well, I like this, but I don't like it. I appreciate you waiting, sorry that you're late. So now there was a devil looking at the phone call with Paul Anderson in person.
You do not need to explain
And
that.
reschedule
I work for the town, I totally understand.
Well, the town guys have been doing a really great job of keeping things moving forward. They are doing it. So, I'm Catherine. I'm one of 9 members on the Board of Assessment Appeals. My role today is to understand your appeal, to make sure that we have enough documentation and we've discussed a basis for the appeal.
Okay.
And to make sure that I can then present to a majority of the board, there's 5 of us, we deliberate and we make a vote. Okay, we're being recorded, so, and I have to state a few things for the record. Number 1 is the appeal is starting at 11:58. It is appeal number 215 for 505 Woodhouse Road. Janet Lopez Caliper and...
Eric Caliper.
Are you the owner? The whole names don't fit.
Yes.
I'm just confirming that you're the owner,
Yes, ma'am.
as well as the appellant.
Yes, ma'am.
The town has valued your property at $646,200, and you are asking for a revaluation amount of $590,000. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Could you raise your right hand? I'll swear you in. Do you solemnly swear that the information you shall give concerning the assessment appeal now in question shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Okay. So, how did you get to your requested value of $590,000?
So I've provided evidence to the board representing 2 appraisal reports that were done. Last year, the first appraisal report was performed by Cedar Crest Appraisals on 19 May 2020, which found a value of $595,000. And then there's also submitted a second appraisal that was performed by Lee DeBrow, and that was performed on 23 November of 2020, which found a value of $590,000. Both appraisals were performed in the process of conducting a refinance and were conducted both before and after the October 1st, 2020 town computed market value of $646,200. And I am cognizant of the October 1 base period.
Thank you.
I purchased the house new in 2009 for a value of $570,000, and the only improvements that I've made to the property were a simple refresh of the garage doors, a rebuilt chimney, and a refresh of the rear porch.
And why did you have 2 appraisals?
Because the first refinance fell through, and the second refinance generated the second appraisal.
Okay. All right.
And you should have both those reports.
And I do, and,
good.
well, I definitely do, and I just want to go through a few of the comps, because this is exactly what we asked for, so I appreciate you, making it succinct. So, yes.
I was just going to say, I don't know how we want to distinguish the 2 reports, but the Lee DeBrow report, which I think the file number ends in 2000, the upper right-hand corner.
I have 057, I have, well, I know there's a $5,000, well, I'll have it, the first one I have is the $595 as of May.
Okay.
So why don't we just skip to the back one, because that's the one you want for the $590.
Correct.
And it's closer to the,
Correct. So the only thing I just wanted to point out is that of the 6 comparable sale properties on there,
yes.
5 of them are inside the base value. The only one that's the base period, the only one that's not is number 5.
Okay.
I actually looked at the.
And it's always the thing I cannot find is the sale date.
I
don't know why I have such a hard time finding the sale date on the,
So I couldn't find it. I had to go back into the field cards, and that's where I got my data from.
They put down the stores. I just see date of sale. Here it is. So the first one closed 5/20/20. Okay, it's on this line. I'm just going to circle 5/20/20, 2/20, and you're saying the only one that's out is the 5th one.
Yeah, the 5th one I have is July 2019,
Okay.
which would be out of date.
So I'm looking at Buckboard Lane, which is on the other side of the Merritt, right? That looks like.
Correct.
Okay, so we're on the right page here. So that sold for $675, and they have an adjustment mostly for location. Okay.
Yeah, so it's probably important that I mention that. My house butts up against the Merritt Parkway.
Okay.
And you can hear the noise from the Merritt Parkway, and you can see the Merritt Parkway from my yard.
Okay.
And rear porch. That's where most of the adjustments are allotted from.
That's why we have these hearings, to get that out on record. Okay, so, and at that point, I'm just curious, are you above the Merritt, or is it how?
So my property does have a very, very large terrain difference between where my house is and the Merritt. So I actually butt up against the Greenfield Hunt property.
Okay.
So, yes.
So you're at the quiet end of the Woodhouse down there, right, versus towards the Burr Street.
That is correct.
Okay, so you're down over near Greenfield. Okay, now I've got exact location.
Mm-hmm.
So, as well as I see that they did that for, and then Hillbrook is the same thing, okay, and we've got Surrey Lane sold for $570. So they came up with adjustments from $616, $610, $562. Okay. So we have those 3 comps, they're all in 20, and it's a professional appraisal.
Yes, ma'am.
And 2 that came in within $5,000.
Yes, ma'am.
That to me seems pretty straightforward on the information. I want to give you anything else that you want to say to any other information that I might be missing?
No.
That's the Merritt Parkway?
No, I think we captured that, and I think
Okay.
I'm just going to rely on the estimate reports for the appraisal.
And I have no other questions. If you have no other questions, I don't want to rush you. Okay. So to let you know that now, did I mention sometimes it's letters, but now I take this and then we deliberate to a majority of the board, 5 people, at least 5 people will vote. And then you'll be notified of the vote. And by mail, all decisions that should be made in March, you'll be notified within a week of the decision. If your appeal is denied, you can come back next year. If you're granted a reduction, you cannot appeal until the next revaluation in 5 years. And if you don't agree with the board's decision, you can take the next step and appeal your decision in court. Instructions on all that will be in your decision letter. I appreciate the information. I appreciate meeting you. Thank you for participating in our government, and wish us both luck.
Thank you for all you do.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
You said you work for the town too.
I do. I'm a shift commander for the fire department.
Oh, well, I hope I'm never on your shift. I hope I never have to call you.
I hope we see each other. It's only
yeah.
in good terms.
But I'm sorry, I needed you to sign.
Absolutely.
I didn't have that, so that piece, if you sign there, it just acknowledges that you were sworn in.
Very good. Huh?
Lots of record keeping. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Have a good one.
Good luck.
Thank you. And if you could do me a favor, I think I have one more hearing down there. Generally, if there's a gentleman fooling around, tell him to come on up. Sorry to keep you waiting.
Of course. You think after a year of this, I'd be able to walk upstairs with a mask without getting winded?
Well, and we're being recorded, and thanks for letting the other gentleman send you up here, because I come running in and then I'm like, I'm setting for the recording. My name's Catherine, and I am one of 9 members for the Board of Assessment Appeals. Mm-hmm. So my role today is to understand your appeal and to do my best to make sure we have the right information to present for to a majority of the board, so at least 5 of us, that will deliberate and vote on your appeal. So for the record, just to say a few things, the hearing will start at 12:07. This is for Appeal 527 for 3808 Reading Road. William Quinn.
That's right.
And Pamela. William is here as the owner and the appellant. The town has a value on your property of $1,569,400, and I guess it's open for discussion. You're asked about because I understand it's a farm, so that's going to come all in. So that's all correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Would you please raise your right hand and I'll swear you in. Do you solemnly swear that the information you shall give concerning the assessment appeal now in question shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Terrific. And if you could sign that you were sworn in, I'll put that in the folder afterwards.
Great.
Thank you. Okay, now, I did read through, William, and I have to say, this is my first farm.
Oh, wow.
So, talk to me about this, and make me understand. So there's this law, you went to the assessors, you have to prove you're a farm?
We do.
Okay, so tell me how and then we do have to come up with some type of number for the appeal.
Perfect. Okay. So the farmland classification runs through, obviously, the assessor's office, and we have to prove that we are a farm under, PA 490, which defines what are the various legs of what you have to demonstrate to show that you're a farm. And most of them relate to having a business operating. It could either be part-time or full-time. That demonstrates you are engaged in the productive use of your property for some agricultural purpose. In this case, our property is being used for an apple orchard.
So when we bought the house in late 2018, the following spring, we began the process of purchasing apple trees and building high-tension trellis systems for the development of an orchard, with the long-term vision being going back to what the property was used for 250 years, which was an apple orchard and cidery.
Okay, now that was my overall question. You bought this, you paid almost another $6 million.
That's correct.
It is a lot of acreage. It's 14 acres, I believe?
It's 16.8 acres in Fairfield and
Wow.
2 and change in Easton.
Okay. Oh, okay. Yes. Over the property. Okay. Now, was it classified as farmland?
It was.
It was.
It was.
So you bought it as a farm, so to continue, and then they took it away from you?
They did.
Okay. Just curious, in Easton, which is Connecticut, Vermont, but Easton, does Easton acknowledge it as farmland?
We've not applied for it, and the prior owners did not apply for it either, because the portion of the property that's in Easton is wetlands. There's no productive farming going on.
So they don't really tax you, they just tax you as...
Our taxes there are $100 a year or something.
Okay,
It's not.
okay, 2 acres in Easton is all wetland.
Correct.
Okay, just good to know.
That's right.
To see what our fellow towns are doing. Okay. But it was was it a producing orchard then?
It was not an orchard, so the prior owners had a quarter-acre plot in which there was sort of traditional tilled ground that was used to grow vegetables. And so this vegetable garden was the grounds upon which the prior farm classification had been granted. Prior to those owners, I'm not aware of whether or not, prior to 2008, I believe, when they purchased the property, I don't know what the status was. But I know that for some years prior to our acquisition, it had been a farm because of that quarter-acre producing. The orchard was something that we began and we started planting.
Did they just have like a veggie stand on the side?
I believe.
Like a quarter of an acre.
So I believe that the way they did it was they hired they had a farmer who essentially leased that quarter acre from them, and he was selling the produce to local restaurants and other vendors.
Okay. Oh, okay. And then they had it for, I'm looking just here, it looks like they probably bought it in 2007, did a few flips before that, and we don't know who owned it before 2004, how long it was owned. Okay.
It was owned by the family before for about 100 and something years. It passed between various owners prior to 2008.
Okay. And I see that the field card has what looks like a farmhouse with a barn, has it up, and I think I've seen that barn. Okay, and I thought I saw some pictures in here of and here it is on the field card, the farm truck and a barn.
I believe so.
That's all there? Okay.
If
Looks like you're hauling a shed. It looks like on a trailer like being hauled. Okay.
If you're interested or if it's useful, I can also provide an image of the apple trees and the trellis system.
Okay, because I have a lot of purchase documents that you've been purchasing all these trees and so forth, so I would love to take...
May I bring them forward?
Of course, and please put them on the side, and we've got our maps, which is, I appreciate you.
Of course.
Now, again, I'm really just trying to understand about
Yeah.
I'm not a lawyer, I'm not familiar with that, I just want to make sure. How is it assessed when it was farmland? What was because right now the dwelling is assessed for, the dwelling's appraised for a little over $500,000. You have some outbuildings for another $25,000, and then the land is now appraised at over $1 million.
Yes.
When it was classified as farmland, do you know what it was appraised
So
at?
it's a formula. So every year, as I understand it, and I know I'm under oath and this is recorded, so forgive me, I'm also not a lawyer, but as I understand it, the state every year publishes a static assessment value for lands of farmlands of different grades. So there's farmland A tillable, farmland B tillable, orchard land, wetland or scrubland, and each of them has a value attached to it.
Okay.
And so the assessment and the change, what would essentially happen upon farmland classification, I had submitted to the assessor my estimates of the acreage within these various categories. So within each of those categories, I believe there's this much of orchard property, this much of tillable property, and then this much of wetlands or scrublands. And then essentially it's a formula whereby the state would say, okay, assessor agrees that this is the acreage, here's this year's schedule for that land, and the number that would come out of it on the appraisal for the property, not the home or the outbuildings, but for that land would come out of that formula.
Okay. Now, do you know beforehand, was it just a quarter acre that was given there?
No, so if the farm classification is given, my understanding is that it then applies to the property which could be used in an agricultural sense within the entire property.
Okay.
And so when the prior owners had it, I believe that approximately, I think it was 4 acres or so of tillable B, 2 acres of this, and then 10 or so acres of the woodland/wetland. And
Okay.
so, pardon me, and so the schedule was constructed based on that.
Okay. I'm sorry, I don't even have water.
No, it's
No,
okay.
no, he's
My goodness.
Nope, you good? Do you want to
Just a dry throat.
take your mask off and take a deep breath outside?
Just a dry throat.
I know it.
All right.
Okay, now, can you tell me what acreage you plan to use for the apple orchard?
Yes.
Like how you would break down your 15 acres or so.
So right now, there's the south end of the property has approximately 1.5 to 2 acres that about half of which is right now has apple trees on. And so we would expect to continue to expand that. So we're planting somewhere between 17 and 27 trees this spring, really just depending on how many I can get out of the existing scion wood that I have. So we graft it onto rootstocks and we plant them. So somewhere between 17 and 27 additional trees. So it'll continue to take over about those 2 acres. One of the things we need for apple trees is bees. And so much of the remainder of the property, we have an active apiary operation where we right now have 4 different positioned beehives that we have to fill those up so that there's enough bees to fertilize the trees. And so the property on which those bees operate is around, again, I'm estimating around 4 additional acres. So my estimate is probably somewhere between 4 and 6 acres are associated with that part of the farm, and then the remainder is part of the woodland or wetland.
And again, as I'm just asking questions, this is all new to me.
Sure.
To be cynical, now when you classify it as farmland, are there any deed restrictions or anything for you subdividing it and then selling it off as lots to be developed?
Yes, and so that is as I understand it, the primary policy objective from the Connecticut legislature for PA 490.
Okay.
The idea is we want parts of rural Connecticut to retain that rural character, and we want there to be fewer properties subdivided. We want to allow family farms to continue to exist. So the idea of providing the classification as farmland is you can't subdivide it, and if you sell it and it gets subdivided, you end up having certain transfer penalties associated with that. So in addition to applying for the exemption, the homeowner is making a commitment to do exactly that, which is to make their contribution towards maintaining the rural character of the property.
And what was the reason given for your denial?
So the reason given by the assessor I communicated with him via email was you've not provided evidence that you are operating a business because it is not currently producing any revenue. The two
You
are...
have all these setup costs, that's right?
Well, and so sort of 2 parts to that story. One of which is apple trees, no matter how you try to modify them or fertilize, they don't produce for, in many cases, several years. And, it becomes a problem in that you obviously cannot produce revenue if you are not able to have the apples come out. And, this is the primary point of my contention, is that PA 490, so the Connecticut legislature publishes a guide to interpreting this public act about farmland classification. And, there's a couple of specific comments they make, one of which is, there is no specific income requirement to be considered under PA 490. They say at another point in the guide, remember that new farmers starting a business may put forth expenses for the first several years without showing any profit.
And this I think I read, so.
Yes.
Right.
And then finally, they explicitly talk about tree culture and say, look, some forms of agriculture, such as Christmas trees and vineyards, can take several years to become marketable. And so my belief is that the legislature understood that many forms of agriculture and establishing a farm are behaviors that they want to support by policy and which aren't going to generate revenue. And my further contention is that if you have 80 trees on your property and you're building trellis systems, my estimate is that it's probably at maturity what we have planted and bought now would produce somewhere between 35,000 and 40,000 pounds of apples per year. That's somewhere between 100,000 and 120,000 apples. Because we intend to make cider with it, and this is hard cider, it will be about 30,000 12-ounce bottles. So putting that in context, my opinion is that...
How much cider can we expect to... how much cider can we...
We are looking forward to selling it in Fairfield. But it's clearly, at least in my opinion, a commercial, non-for-personal use. I like apples. I couldn't eat 82 apples a day. Which is what everyone in my family would have to eat if we ate the apples there. But the other thing is they're not edible apples. They're cider apples. They're sour and bitter. Their only use is for being made in cider. And so there is no non-commercial use for cider apples. I would either have to sell them to a cider maker, or I would have to use them to make cider with a commercial alcoholic beverage license from the city of Fairfield. And so without either of those things, I can't understand how it would be characterized as something other than a business. And so that's our argument, is that the
and
state...
you haven't gotten those licenses yet because you don't have the apples.
That's correct.
Why do you... Okay.
That's right.
And then do you have a scheduled fee? Is that what you do on your tax returns to show the losses of the business?
We chose not to.
Okay.
Our concern was, we're going to have nothing but losses for 7 years, and it's going to be, for fertilizer and soils, $1,200, $1,500, $2,000 a year, and, a couple hundred hours of labor. The IRS, after 7 years of reporting, $2,000 losses on a scheduled fee, starts to ask enough questions that we judged and said, look, let's start recording the losses once we start recording revenues. It's not worth it to attract, essentially, an audit attention from the IRS. So that was a conservative decision that we made about, characterizing those losses. We do have an LLC that we've established. So we established that in 2019, Reverie Farm LLC. It's classified with the Secretary of State as an orcharding entity. We file our annual reports, and we file our reports here with Fairfield on taxes and use with DRS. So it just happens that the numbers are zero because there just aren't any apples yet.
No, so my only, this is unique, I have not had an appeal like this, I don't know that anybody else has had an appeal, so I can, of course you can, is there anything I haven't asked about, or that you want to?
No, this is,
okay.
I think you've given me, the questions allowed me to express what I think is our
And that's what I was
argument.
hoping to get an understanding and to do this. Were you told to come to the Board of Assessment Review? And I'm just asking this. I think I have enough information to present. I think the question is going to come, my fellow board members are going to, do we have the purview to do this? So do you know that we have that? Or?
The assessor, my application, so I filed it in September. I received the notice from the assessor, the letter from the assessor in February, via mail, I think on February 2nd.
Yeah.
And the letter said,
go to the board.
Your application has been denied. If you wish to appeal, here's the link to the Board of Assessment Appeals.
So you were denied late 2020?
Early 2021.
Oh.
So I filed it in September, but we didn't get the response until February,
gotcha.
Early February.
It all came in one package. Now I see what might have happened. Okay. All right. Well, interesting. Thank you.
Of course.
I personally hope you do really well. I just I mean, I've been in Fairfield for over 40 years, and this is the sort of stuff I just love. So I
We do too.
hope that we can all do that. Why'd you pick Fairfield? Did you grow up here, or?
No, we moved from Texas.
Oh, not really hearing an accent, is it?
No, I moved around a lot in my life, but we lived in Texas, and I sold my company, and we decided we wanted to homeschool our children. We wanted them to be involved in the actual farming. We wanted to be really part of a community, and my business partner for my new endeavor lives in Reading, and so we looked around and we drove by this house, saw the farm, and said, this is exactly where we want to live. We came downtown in Fairfield and said, this is it.
Well, as an aside, my favorite local farm in Easton is Fort Hill Farm with
Yes.
Top. So, just giving my CSA there for the show to
Wonderful.
get her going. So I am sure that she'd love to partner with you, and there will be a lot of great farm parties coming up in about 10 years.
And Texas barbecue, so if that's the thing.
Hey, she's got some meat and all that. I'm pretty, my youngest son just brought home a vegan girlfriend. I was like, are you kidding me? We got gluten-free, vegan. I don't know how to cook for all.
Oh, I can
Order out. So I'm learning some new uses of vegetables. It's been a pleasure meeting you. I've been, thank you very much for this information. Glad that I asked. It's in our purview. I'm going to be a popular presenter.
You'll have the interesting story.
I'll have the interesting story is right. So if you have nothing else, I have no other questions. I want to thank you very much for your time, information. Wish you the best of luck. And like I said, we'll vote. We're going to have the deliberations and vote in March. You'll hear from us within a week after the vote.
Perfect.
If you're granted if your appeal is denied, you can come back next year. If you're granted a reduction, you cannot appeal again until the next reballot, which is in 5 years. And if you don't agree with the board's decision, the next step would be to go to court, and all those instructions will be in the decision letter. So thank you very much, and I'd like to conclude the meeting at 12:26, if you will.
Thank you.
All right. William, Bill, will you go by?
I actually go by Rusty for some reason.
Oh, I can see why. Pleasure meeting you. Good luck.
Likewise. Thank you so much for your time.
Okay.
Should I leave this document here?
Please. I have to go in here.
Great. Thank you. Have a nice day.
Make those phone calls now.
Hope you get out of here and enjoy this.
Thanks for that. Hi, Margaret. My name is Catherine. I'm calling from the Fairfield Town Hall concerning the Board of Assessment Appeals.
Yes, hi, how are you?
I am good. I do apologize for running so late. I had a little mix-up with in-person and in-phone double scheduling. So I really appreciate you waiting. I hope it wasn't too inconvenient.
No, it's good.
Okay, thank you very much for that. So Margaret, I want to let you know that we're both being recorded. The call's being recorded, and I have a few things to confirm. First of all, I am Catherine. And I'm one of the 9 Board of Assessment Appeal members. So my role today is to understand your appeal and to make sure that we have enough information to present to a majority of the board, who we can deliberate then, and then we'll take a vote. Okay, so you know what my role is. And for the record, the appeal is beginning at 12:32, and it is appeal number 609 for the property at 3960 Reading Road. You, as well as Paul Caldwell, are the owner, and the town has a value of $767,100. You're asking for a revaluation to $740,000. Is that all correct?
Correct, except that Paul Caldwell is no longer, he passed away.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
Okay, but you are the owner as well, the sole owner now. Okay.
Correct.
Thank you. Okay, so Ms. Hepburn, I have to swear you in. I'm sorry, could you raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear that the information you shall give concerning the assessment appeal now in question shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Okay. Today's the 10th. Okay.
Catherine, could I have your last name?
GIFF, 4 letters, GIFF.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Okay, yep. No worries. So what I have here in your file is your request, as well as a copy of the first part of your field card. Yes, maybe the second part. No, just half of your field card. So I'd like you to fill me in a bit on how you came up with the market value of $740,000, please.
I just had the house appraised in February, maybe the end of January, and it came in at $740.
I think did you send that in, the appraisal?
I did
or can
not.
you?
I did not, because I was waiting for the hard copies to come in from my attorney.
Have you received them?
Yes, I have.
Would you be able to email them over?
Of course. Do you need the whole document or just the preliminary,
If it's all on one document and that's the easiest way for you to just transfer over the PDF, I don't know how they send it to you.
I would have to check. I have a hard copy, but I think I also have a digital.
Okay, if you have a digital, it'll just be easier for you to just move it over to the email. I'll give you our email address right now, if you don't mind.
That'd be great.
It's BAA, for Board of Assessment Appeals, BAA at fairfieldct.org. And if you could put in the subject line, appeal number 609, attention, Catherine with a C, Catherine.
Okay.
If you could do that in the next day or so.
No problem. I can do that today.
Oh, well, terrific. And it's kind of hard to have a hearing without that, and I'm not sure that, we would need another hearing. To have the appraisal is exactly what we're looking for. So it would only be if we had any questions on the comps or so forth.
Yeah, I don't see it readily available, but I know I have it somewhere. I just have to find it.
Okay, and do you have readily available the hard copies?
Yes.
Okay, if you could send us, there's a couple of charts that list out the properties. It's whatever's easier for you. I was just going to say, and usually there's a cover sheet. Sometimes they say the fair market value on the cover sheet.
Yes, it does. It does.
Okay, and then there's some charts, and there's usually 2 charts, and each chart might be 2 pages. So, and it lists out subject property on the left, and then it'll have all these columns with the comparable properties. And there's usually, I think it fits 3 comps on a page, and you probably have 5. It just seems the magic numbers of these appraisals. So therefore, you might have 2 charts.
Okay, all right, no problem.
Okay, I appreciate that. Again, I'm sorry for your loss. Do you have any other questions for me, or?
No, I mean, that was really, I was curious as to how you came up with the 6% increase when Greenfield Hill has gone down by 10%, according to what I'm reading.
Well, it is by state statute. We have to go for the fair market value on October 1st, and those properties have, most properties have sold during that time. We, as a town, Fairfield had more sales than any other town in the state.
Right, and not in certain areas, according to some of the documentation. But I understand, where it's coming from, but that's not what it says. It says it's down by 10%. And my situation is that, since my husband passed away, I've lost his income. And he was in the process of applying for senior tax relief because he was 66. So I don't know if that was ever going to happen for him, for us on the house. So that's where I'm coming from with some of this.
Well, and you still do have those avenues to pursue.
Okay.
So, yeah.
I mean, this life event has just changed my situation in that, for me to find alternative housing in the area, which is what I was hoping to do, is becoming prohibitively difficult.
It is. I can feel for you on that. And that's one of the other things I advocate for. The diversity of our housing stock is a lot of larger homes. Well, I thank you. The professional appraisal will go a long way for what I need to present your case. And what will happen is, as I've said, I will present the case to a majority of the board, and at least 5 will vote on it. You'll be notified. The decisions will be made in March, and then you'll be notified within 7 days of the decision by mail. If your appeal is denied, you can come back next year, and if you're granted a reduction, you cannot appeal until the next revaluation in 5 years. If you don't agree with the board's decision, you can take the next step and appeal your decision in court. Instructions will be in your decision letter for all your options. So I appreciate your time. I thank you for your patience. If you don't have any questions for me, I'll conclude the hearing now.
No, I don't know if anything comes into play about, the fact that the current market is really not looking for my type of house, and that I have no central air, furnace needs replacing, bathrooms need to be updated and everything like that. So that some homes may be selling in this area, but they're not my particular home.
And that's what your appraisal will show. The comparable sales that have, and it'll be adjusted for those factors. So that's why we do. The professional appraisals do carry a lot of weight for our deliberations.
Perfect. Okay, I'll get that to you today.
Thank you. Appreciate that. You have a good day.
Thank you. Many thanks for your time, Catherine.
Thank you. Bye-bye.